Welcome to the Flame Trench here, where we got Vipers, we got Vulcans, we got Starliners, we got a whole cadre of things to talk about this week. Kevin, roll that intro, baby!
And here we go. We have liftoff.
Propulsion continues to be nominal.
R68 chamber pressure looks good.
Following up. Roger, Atlantis.
Water towers, fly! Yes!
Tango down to nominal.
Flight downside FD off. Bring in FD off. It's orange!
R45! Oh my god!
Decollage. What is it? Put that in the big bag, Eagle.
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed.
We rise together, back to the moon and beyond.
This methane will be igniting in the flare, correct?
Yikes. You good? Sure. We don't need any more of these.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to this Flame Trench, where I'm hosting this week. Jack is actually not feeling very well. I'm not sure. Maybe he's taking too many pictures or something. But I'm in charge, so this is going to be a good time. This is great. I don't know why they put me in charge. Personally, I think that's a little bit of a mistake. But hey, whatever. My name's at the top. It's fine. Anyway, how's everybody doing in chat over there on Twitch chat? How are you guys all doing? I am EJ. I'm hosting with you guys here tonight. And today, I'm joined by two beautiful co-hosts. The ever popular Alejandro Alcantarilla in chat here. Alex, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I don't know. It's quite a rare week without Jack, but I guess we gotta give him a little bit of a break from the Flame Trench. He's got him very.
I think we tired him out. Yeah, do you think we tired him out with the explanations? I think
probably
the explanations will get longer until morale improves.
Exactly.
All right. All right, cool. It's good to have you, man. And also, wait, who's there? Do we got Sawyer around? That what I'm hearing? Sawyer, you out there?
It's the ghost of Sawyer. Since you don't see my face, it's only my voice. How's it
Elmo?
going? I'm going to be
that Elmo?
represented today by this flex picture of me with an astronaut and Elmo. So it's good to be back. Currently recovering from surgery, which is why I'm not on camera at the moment. But yeah, enjoy the constant flex for the next hour and a half.
Man, dude, I'm here for Sesame Street, man. It's good. That's why I showed up. I don't know about you guys, chat. So, Sawyer, thanks for being here. Alex, thanks for being here. We got a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff to talk about. I mean, I'm not sure if it's going to be as hot button as the past couple of Flame Trenches, but we'll try our best to hit you with that picante. Alex, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, it was close enough. All right, we're good.
Close.
We're good. So, gentlemen, where do we want to start? Alex, what do you think? What do you think we should start with?
I believe we have some good news / maybe good news from Viper, but I saw a horse
Maybe.
there.
Is that a horse?
Yeah, I don't know. That was like
Is-
very short appearance of a horse.
Oh, he's here.
Yeah, they
Excellent.
completely ignored. They just put a picture of a horse up. They go, well,
I was gonna
why is
say,
that?
man,
That's random.
When we started the show, I didn't see you here, but you seem to have showed up.
You can. Well,
Guys-
I'm in the control thing. You can see my net. Oh, you won't be able to see that. Well, you might be able to see that. I don't know. Whatever. Either way.
Well,
Yeah.
hey,
If you get
dear
any random
leader is
questions
here.
that I want to sort of like jump in on and be a referee, then especially if it's about one of our favorite spacecraft, then I'll jump in.
the Burgonator
Ooh,
is
wonder what
here.
spacecraft that is.
Excellent. So we have a plethora of hostess. We have a plethora of information for you. All right. So, Alex, and everybody else, you think we're going to start with Viper? We can start with Viper. Kevin, you want to start with
Yeah.
Viper?
I feel like he
I do.
wants to.
Let's start with
I-
Viper.
You do?
I'm already
Yeah?
seeing
All right.
assets being prepared for that.
Dude, the assets are prepared.
Yeah, so
It's horse cam on his
this
station.
week-
Right on.
this week NASA released a request for information to, companies that might be interested in picking Viper. If you remember from last month, the Viper mission had been canceled, right, very very close from being almost completed, but it had run a bit over budget, behind schedule, and a whole deal of different other aspects to the laws. Because of that, NASA had to be canceled. Had to decide to cancel Viper. However, since it's very very much complete, it just needed a couple more tests left before being ready for launch. Essentially what happened is that since the cancellation, NASA received a lot of proposals, a lot of requests, and now they're formally actually putting it out saying, hey, this is our request for information. Let us know what you guys will want to do. This is not for bids though. Like, this is not companies saying we're gonna do this, right? Like that will be a request for proposals. That will be the next step. Usually that's what usually happens with these things, where NASA first gets interest from companies, then they formally release a request for information, and then later they do a request for proposal. Well, where they actually at the end of that process they actually award a contract. So far, though, the only company that we know has express interest, publicly, has been Intuitive Machines. They say that they want to launch it on their larger, I think it's Novity lander, and that's going to be launching in 2027. So it will be launched on that lander. That's their proposal, so to speak, their idea to do that. Now, of course, that is great news, because that means perhaps Viper might have some future other than just being taken apart for some random instrument or something like that. That was the other option that NASA had, was instead of giving away the rover, it will just be taking all of those instruments apart that are attached to the rover, and then be sent off to another type of mission. And so that is great that at least the whole thing is being used. But I don't know, guys. Like, I really feel like that's really great news, that we really have uh, an opportunity to at least see this in action, which I really wanted to see in action. To be fair, I was not. I think I was not here on the Flame Trench where we discussed Viper, but I was really disappointed that it was super super close to being complete.
Dude, I got
and then
super spicy
was
during
caught.
that. I got super spicy during that flame trench. I was not happy. I mean, Alex, can you tell these folks, for the people that might not know, what the Viper mission is and why it's so important?
Yeah, it is really important because, this is a lunar rover that was going to go to the south pole of the moon, and actually, you know, it was going to be looking at the resources, looking at the water on the moon, trying to actually scout and be able to see what is the concentration. Obviously, it cannot go around the whole south pole of the moon, but when you look at one section, you can get an idea more or less of how other places might be. And so it was going to go into shadowy craters. It had even lights and everything to be able to do all of that. And so and it had a drill and everything, like, in order to be able to explore all of this. Of course, it had a huge suite of instruments to be able to understand all of that. So it's really important, especially for the Artemis program. If we want to actually do something for the long term on the moon, we really need to have something like this as one of our robotic assets, because once humans get there, they cannot go there blind. Essentially, they cannot be there, where are the eyes? I don't know. Let's look at this, right? You need a way to robotically be able to get to the place and be like, here's the eyes, we want to use it, we want to use it in the future. Maybe in the shorter term, you just want to bring it back to Earth and study it, for example. So those kinds of things, we really need this kind of rover being able to be sent there and study the south pole of the moon, because that's where we're going to be building the next base on the moon, right? Or the first base on the moon, I guess. But yeah, it's really a very important mission. It's not the only one, though. I'm not saying that this is the only one. There are more, but it's probably the more in-depth one. Like, you actually have the rover. Some other missions just have maybe the driller or maybe some other instruments separate, right? This combines a lot of these different instrumentation that can actually do that.
Yeah, this is a super important mission, and NASA NASA trying to cancel it is not cool. But it's cool that they put this commercial contract out there, and potentially we got commercial customers stepping up. Sawyer, well, how do you feel about this? I think I know. I think I know. And we like to have the dissenting opinion here. Like bring in different points of view, but also I'm pretty sure we're all on the same page here. Sawyer, what do you think, dude?
I think it's better than disposing it for a block of concrete in its place, which is currently the plan.
Dude,
So,
so
I mean,
uncool.
that's ridiculous that, oh yeah, we'll fly a block of concrete instead, and we've got this lander that now finally has a second chance at life. I actually did see the other day that Australia is also making their own lunar rover as part of this whole Artemis deal, and they officially voted for the name, and it is called the Rover, like kangaroo, Rover.
Oh no.
Yeah.
That is
No.
not a joke. That is the actual name, and I love it. But it's good to see more of these lunar landers getting a shot at life on the moon here.
Yeah.
The problem is, Sawyer, you said it, so everyone assumed it was a pun.
Exactly.
Yeah, you had to clarify. When you clarified, I'm
It
like, oh,
is,
okay.
It is their pun, not yours.
I know. I officially love the Australian Space Agency now.
But yeah, it's pretty much what you said also, EJ, right? That
Yep.
usually there are topics where you could have different opinions and very like opposite opinions, right? This one we are all together in the sense that why was it canceled? They need to use this, right? It's like,
I mean,
it's this thing. You can probably have differences in the little things, like should we really send it to the private sector now that we've paid for like the majority of it? Shouldn't
Yeah.
NASA just be getting the last little bit of money that they need and maybe use that themselves, right? Like
yeah.
those little details, for example, those could be differences there that one could probably come up with, and there's probably a whole argument there where it's like NASA just paid, I don't know, like it was something along the lines of like $500 million on this rover already, and they only needed like
450
another
mil.
how many?
450 million and change.
Yeah, so
Just-
almost $500 million. They needed a little bit more, like 84 million, just to get to the end to that launch.
Hey,
And
I don't have any, I usually don't do this, dude, like real quick, not to interrupt, but SpaceX fanboys out there, how many Falcon 9 launches will 450 million buy you? Just put it into perspective. Just think about that for a second.
yeah,
Let noodle on that one, and you'll be like, oh, you'll see why this is an extraordinarily bad idea to get rid of this.
yeah.
Not cool.
And
Anyway,
and now
continue.
you spend all of that money, government money, and now you're dumping it to a private company that sure may or may not need about the same amount of money that NASA, maybe less, because difference on government contracting and private contracting and whatnot. But then you're like, how can it be that you're dumping this now that you spent like 450 million? That is an argument I may or may not agree with. I'm
Mhm.
probably more balanced there, that I don't really care in that topic. But you can definitely bring up that comment that NASA has already spent 450. Just give them the 84 that they need,
Yeah.
right? Like, and just launch it, like, right? That could be another argument as well. But we are all agreeing here probably that it needs to launch. It needs to be up
Okay.
there.
So I mean, I don't want to sit here and we all agree, because we could do that. We could
Mhm.
have an echo chamber, right? Like, okay, so let me tell you guys why they got rid of Viper. Or the reason why they did this and tried to move it off to commercial, with that request for information that Alex was talking about, is because they were worried about funding overlap for another mission. Particularly, I think it was the Prime mission, which is also a lunar prospecting rover from the Commercial Lunar Payload Services program. But the thing is, I just said it was a rover. It's not a rover. It's a lander. So you're worried about funding overlap for a rover or for a lander that doesn't move, when the whole point of Commercial Lunar Payload Services in general is, to be the precursor missions to the Artemis program. And I don't think there's any. I mean, here's the thing: like, okay, it doesn't move, so Prime doesn't move. It lands on the moon. What if it doesn't land near water ice? Like, I'm not saying that
Yeah.
wouldn't happen, right? Like, having the roving capability is kind of like the whole point of, like, that's your Viper's your flagship mission. Like that mission not being in like the critical pathway for the Artemis program, or like even just getting rid of it is kind of like, okay, you're going to try to build a base on the moon. And you don't know where the ice is. You don't know where the water ice is, but you're trying to build a base on the moon so you can have water ice. Like, I get the funding overlap thing, but dude, even me, who's generally like, I try to be not a little bit contrarian about this, but I try to be kind of even. I'm still like, nope.
Yeah, I just saw
Nope.
Chris saying NSF will fund it if they let us put cams on the moon. Moon-based live.
I could have said it, but I just like interacting with chat.
Yeah,
No,
I
it's
do that all
great.
the time.
It's great.
Moon-based live. Yeah, coming to an NSF stream near you.
I mean, as long as, if any company out there with lunar landers wants to, they have some spare room on their lander, just email, phone, whatever.
We'll
We're
go
glad.
give Das a ring. We'll be like, hey, how much do you think this is going to cost? You think we could do this?
We'll send DAS and just put a few cameras on their landers.
Better idea. Better idea. When you find yourself agreeing with EJ, you know things are really screwed up. Yeah, hey, there you go. All right. Nice. So, boys, any other questions or thoughts about this here? Because, I'm about to go over into chat. You guys have any questions about Viper or anything like that?
I'll tell you what,
I've
got some thoughts about the whole Artemis and the whole moon return thing. I've got friends.
Go for it, boss.
Luckily, none of my friends are idiots where to go. Did we already go to the moon? A lot of my friends are kind of realistic, saying, why are we going back to the moon? And like, they tend to think it's a repeat of Apollo. And that's a fair thing to think. I understand it, and I'll have time for them to explain that this is completely different. And this is why all these rovers and all these spacecraft going to the moon are almost like precursors. They're setting up the stage for the human return. But this time, as the keyword likes to say, we're going there back to stay. And this time, we're not going to be bouncing around for a few days collecting rocks. This is going to be a permanent, almost like the ISS, but on the moon, if you think about it. That's probably pushing it. But you know what I mean? It's literally a stepping stone approach, because then you go on to Mars and you have to learn how to live in space. That's what the ISS has done. Then you got to learn how to do ISRU, where they basically take materials from where they are on the moon and create things and create propellants and all sorts of things that they'll learn that will then help them when they get to Mars. So this is all about a big stepping stone approach. And I think now when we start losing things like Viper, it's kind of like not helping. And it depends what the priorities are now, I would say. If you look at the budget, do we really be spending on like the EUS? Eric Berger's a big proposer of not going with the EUS, the upper stage engine, for the SLS Block 1B, and going to a potentially cheaper Centaur version, which could do the job. And then that would release potential funds to be utilized in the long-term plan. So I would say let's think about what our priorities are, and the priorities should be Moon and Mars.
Dude, like I said, I'm not trying to just sit here and nod and agree, but I nod and agree. Anyway, guys, ready for some questions? There's a couple in here, a couple in here that people have tagged me. Guys, tag at EJ, because I'm hosting this. Tagging NSF. I mean, the Bergenator was happy to answer questions, but yeah, if you tag me, I'll keep track of it. So actually, the first one there is 3 T's and a 10. Thoughts on continuing to use Griffin as the lander for Viper? Anybody want to tee that one up?
It doesn't look like they're going to be using that if they hand it over to private institutions. So if they launch it, for example, in Intuitive Machines, they were saying, we're going to land it on our bigger Nova lander, because they have the Nova C currently. And then eventually they're going to have the Nova D, I believe it is called. And so that one will be landing in their, proposal, in their idea kind of thing, will be the one landing Viper on the surface of the moon. So I don't, I don't really know, to be fair. It probably depends on each of the companies that proposes this. Even if it goes like, if it even goes to one of these, right? Maybe it is an institution. Maybe, because one of the things about the RFI, the request for information, is one of the things is that precisely it doesn't need to be to a private company. That was probably another thing that I should have said. it can also be to an institution like some kind of university or something like that. If they have the money and if they can take care of Viper, then it will be, them, the ones that will be taking care of that mission. So it depends. It doesn't really need to be Griffin though. Maybe if Astrobotic gets it, maybe they're beating something. We'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. There you go. All right, I got another one. This is Falcon's Maze. Could a private company claim water ice and sell it to NASA if they get there before them? Berganator, hit me with those answers, man.
Yeah, it's a tough one. We don't know what the scenario will be. I think a lot of us have probably got a lot of background knowledge from watching For All Mankind and the way the moon played out in that show. And that's where it gets kind of funny because I do love that show greatly. I'm liking. I always kind of cringe when Bill Nelson goes, "The Artemis generation," as if we're all like running around our towns and cities shouting, "I'm part of the Artemis generation." But the Artemis program is actually really kind of clever. It's combining lots of nations into a roadmap that has kind of rules and regulations, although obviously not by law. But they're setting everyone together into a kind of like roadmap path, and that puts off the idea of any kind of contrary ideas that any other player may have as far as the moon resources go. So I like the way we're going with this. I think any concerns along that level are probably not easy to answer at this stage. One step at a time. Let's get through the HLS program and start putting people on the surface.
Ooh. Good. Yeah. I'm kind of, once again, I'm just kind of nodding with you. Guys, I swear I'm just not agreeing with him because he's the boss.
I'll find something if you disagree with me with her. Trust me.
I mean, all you need is some duct tape, and then you can just go get the water yourself.
Oh, here we go. He's off. He's off and running.
Yeah.
All Mankind reference.
I'm here for the references.
Yeah. I got that one.
All right. Yeah. We got another question here. So Sawyer, I'm gonna tee this one up to you. If Viper was to launch in 2027, wouldn't with intuitive machines, wouldn't that technology be obsolete by then?
I mean, I guess I'll be the one to bring it up. Mark off your bingo cards. The space shuttle is late 60s, early 70s technology, right? Same thing with the Hubble telescope. That was built way before it actually launched in 1990, and then obviously there were the repairs to upgrade it. But most of the technology that you see launch is already years old by the time it finally flies. So it might not be the most current, but you're still going to get a bunch of science out of it. You're still going to get what you need out of it, hopefully, in terms of, is this a viable site for water? Is this a viable site for whatever else science you need? So, yeah, it's going to be old, but still going to work. It's just like me, old but works.
You know that
I'm older than you.
Wait till you get to my age.
Yeah, wait a minute. But yeah, no, I agree with you. Yeah, once again, I mean, you guys got to think about it like this. Like, yeah, the technology might be a little bit outdated compared to what? The other lunar prospecting rover that NASA's funding? What, that Prime thing that sits there? I don't think that thing can hop unless we're sitting here waiting for when moon hop. I don't think, no. It's even if it is outdated technology, it doesn't matter. It'll work and it'll help us find, a landing site for a lunar base. That it's kind of important to what Chris was saying a second ago about, making sure we push the message forward to going back there and staying. That's why canceling Viper is kind of a funny precedent to set if your plan is to go to the moon and stay there and find the water ice. You're picking up what I'm laying down? Not laying it on too thick, am I?
No, you're right. You're exactly right.
Yeah.
And
it's kind of important.
It's about the priorities. The problem now is, you know this, AJ, and you know this, Sawyer, and I'm sure you know this, Alex, too, is NASA's already been spread over so many things. So it gets a nice big budget. It's a healthy budget, but it's spread over so many things, and a lot of the things it's spread over are kind of like politically embedded into what NASA has to do. So that leaves very little leeway for the things that NASA wants to do as part of its own planning. And that's when it gets kind of like sketchy a little bit, if I can say that word, because when you lose things like Chandra, funding, you things like Viper, because we're not talking
Yep.
a lot of money, are we? Really, when you talk about the big picture here. But because they've got a set budget, and because they've got already an amount of that set into things that are actually mandated by politics, such as much as I like the rocket, SLS and things like that, so in Orion, then you're left with these hard decisions. So that's where someone needs to grab hold of this and say, well, hang on a minute, what is our priority again? And then say, well, don't take away things that are part of our priority if you want that to remain a priority.
Yeah. I mean, it's really tough because you're right. Bill's saying, "Oh, the Artemis generation," but you're sending mixed signals here.
Yep.
Sending mixed signals. I'm like, wait, what?
I don't think the signal's
minute.
mixed. I think the signal is pretty obvious. We care about people more than science.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Interesting.
Also,
There's a ton
you were
of
talking about
projects,
you were talking about it hopping. That's going to be Rover. That should be the one that hops.
Yeah.
Bringing it back.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
That's
A
the
for
whole
effort.
reason it's all like that, but yeah. We'll see
Oh,
what happens with Viper. It's definitely better news, right, than how we were a month ago when we got the news that it was gonna be canceled and everything, and now it's like, wow. Well, we'll see. I think on that same topic, just because Chris mentioned this week Eric Berger released an interview with Bill Nelson, and in that interview, I think Bill talked about reestablishing some, but not all of the budget for Chandra. So there will be some layoffs, but they will not be losing science. So I think that's also somewhat good news, I guess. Better than just completely getting rid of it. That's for sure.
yeah. Anyway, yeah, dude. Once again, I think we're all in concurrence here. Let's move on. We got a couple of people that have been putting in some gifted memberships, and then there's been a couple of. Wait, I'm from Twitch. Super chats, is that what they're called?
Yeah.
Yep.
Super, is that what it is? Sorry, I don't do this YouTube thing very good, at least from a hosting perspective. We had Mighty Don Don with 10 gifted subs right there. We had Chaotic Eagle with an $8 super chat. Jack would be so proud of you. I don't know if he'd be proud of me. I think Jack's a better host than I am, chat. I mean, I know there's people in chat that are like, yeah, he is. And you know what? I agree. I'm sorry. This is the flame trench we were just
stop
agreeing.
Stop it, EJ. Stop putting yourself down. Carry on.
All right. Hey, the boss said stop. All right. So Gareth with a gifted membership there, and then Anthony Monahan there with €6. When the Falcon booster separates from the second stage, what is the long beam protruding from the top of the booster? Oh, it's a pusher. Yep, it's a center pusher. Alex, tee it up.
Yeah,
you want it. I know you do.
There are 4 pushers on Falcon 9, 3 in the interstage on the interstage perimeter, and then there's one in the center, and the center one helps keep it, because the Bell, when they moved from V1.1 to V1.2, they extended the nozzle extension even more, and so they needed that extra push to be able to keep it in place.
Yeah, if I recall, Alex, SpaceX had a bad experience with staging in the early days, right?
Yep.
That's probably the reason why that's there.
In fact, the version 1.0 of Falcon had 12 pushers. They moved from 12 to 3 from essentially the one that had the engine configuration like tic-tac-toe kind of thing. That one had 12 pushers between the first and second stages, and then they moved to 3 on V1.1, and then again on V1.2, the current version, because they enlarged that nozzle extension. They needed that extra push from the center pusher.
Hey,
At
least it's not like a certain other rocket that also had issues with separation. But then again, we don't talk about silly rockets on here. Ares.
Hey!
Yeah.
Whoa. Ares is awesome, all right?
That was stage separation. That Ares 1 stage separation.
Yeah, Ares.
Yeah, tumble motor. It was on purpose. It's
Yeah, that was
ridiculous.
on purpose. I got a bridge to sell you in Brooklyn.
Ares 1 is awesome.
Okay.
Why you booing me? I'm right.
Now this is why we're starting to. You found something where we can disagree.
Yes.
There was nothing. There was nothing awesome about Ares 1.
We're being all cordial, and it's like, nah.
No, that's not happening.
EJ, I just realized that you don't have access to the panel, do you?
Oh, dude, I'm winging it, man. We're good. I'm all
In the
good.
panel.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Alex, would you mind going through some of the memberships and the super chats?
I
Yeah,
told you I was bad at
so
this.
I can go
Man.
all the way back. We had Tarush Sharma, sorry for butchering your name, becoming a Padrat member. There we go. That's on the ticker. Wayne Edward, $2 super chat. Who put this hilarious guy in charge? That was probably about you, EJ, because that was like 30 minutes ago. That's when we started.
Dude, I told you.
I really like that
I don't know why
cold
you put
open,
me
I
in
gotta
charge. What's
and
that?
then I like the cold open. It was, dynamic and active. I don't know. It was
Oh,
more
yeah,
like a
yeah,
hot
dude.
open.
Yeah, we got to bring the A game.
Because this is the
I'm
flame
cream.
trench, baby.
I'm the cream.
Um,
Cream rises to
We
the top.
had Chaotic Eagle with a $12 super chat. Love you, Sawyer. Feel better. I cannot agree
Aw,
anymore
thank
with
you.
that. And also from the Space Pope as well. $50 super chat as well. Sawyer, your strong back is in the mail to help you go vertical again. Heal up and stay positive. That is a great pun, I should say.
Oh, that is unbelievable. First off, thank you so much for the generous support, and second, for the kind words. It means a lot, everyone. Yeah, because again, for those, this is 23 hours a day of just staring at the same four walls. So
Oh.
it's nice to be able to interact with people and chat. So I will be back, and we will rebuild. We have the technology.
Hey.
Was that a groan, what I heard, Kevin? Are you using it today in the end? Yeah, that one from the pun.
Aww.
Jeff,
Where's that?
Mads, I got to
Oh.
test something here. Hold
I
on.
think it's a groan, but Kevin can maybe break that debate here, if he comes on.
I was going to say, Kevin, Ship 26 had its engines removed.
Scrap it.
Can I take EJ off the show?
Scrap it.
Is that possible? Can I do that?
Get it scrapped.
We have enough people this week.
Get it scrapped.
Yeah, I guess it could be a groan, and it also can be an awe, right? So whatever you want it to be in the moment.
I don't know.
I got an actual groan. I didn't get the sound effect, guys.
There's also a bunch of there's a bunch of here as well. I'm gonna go to the gifted memberships because I saw here there's a couple of people. Booster 1058 has gifted a Red Team membership, then Gareth Williams as well, and then Strix Varia became a Padrat member. So thank you all for the gifted memberships allow you to be able to access the membership content and everything. I'm mostly sure that probably Chris Bergen could sell it even better than me because he knows everything. He actually does all of the uploading pictures and everything for those that are Red Team and above and everything. If you are Capcom, you can essentially go into the Discord section. But for Padrat member and things like that, which is the gifted memberships, you at least get, for example, the Raptor site, which we are now uploading, by the way, and there's other things as well in the works, I believe. I think.
Yeah.
We'll see.
No, you did right, Alex. Hold on.
Wayne Edward with $2 says, first water towers, now concrete blocks. Yeah, that's about Viper. Then Booster 1058 for Moonbase Live. I think it's gonna need a little bit more than $2, but every piece of support, even non-monetary, is welcomed. Even likes or just subscribe and all the things that people on YouTube say essentially.
If we can get Moonbase Live for €2,
that will be amazing.
we're doing something right.
Yeah,
might cost $3.50.
That's €2 more than NASA's continuing to put into Viper.
Then Ethereal Swordsman, $10 super chat. Order Windows today. Why? I don't.
Oh God! Oh no!
Understand.
It's leaking.
Is that a pun that I don't understand?
No,
EJ,
I don't. No. Oh, geez, it's leaking into this chat. I'm so sorry. Don't worry. That's just something from Twitch. Don't worry about it. There's nothing derogatory about
Wait
it.
a second.
It's talking about the
now you
operating
gotta
system.
explain it,
EJ, have you
Oh,
not activated Windows?
No, I have. I swear. Is this being recorded?
You know, not to digress too much, but we need the Twitch kind of jingles that happen every time someone does a super chat. I've noticed that on Twitch that when someone does like a support,
Oh,
it goes,
true.
it does like, it's like what?
I
Yeah,
mean,
and sometimes
it's not impossible
something
to do.
appears.
Yeah.
You know, when somebody does the equivalent of super chatting on the Twitch stream, Chris, I have it play Houston, Tranquility Base here.
Yeah, I've
Eagle has
noticed, yeah.
landed.
It's good, that I like
know.
it.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Just saying. Do I have to explain the Windows joke, or can we just keep going?
Explain
I
it.
mean,
And that never happened.
go. Yeah, explain it.
I'm still
It was
researching
brought
Vulcan.
up.
There's a song that I play to annoy my chat. Don't ask. We have a weird relationship over there. It's right. There's a song that I play to annoy my chat, and it's somebody remixed Steve Ballmer selling Windows products over Canyon.mid.
Oh.
If you know, you know. And it's like,
Oh,
order
I
Windows
know.
today.
Get hyped up.
That's amazing.
How much do you want to know how much this Windows costs? Window. This Ferrari from my, you know what I'm talking.
Yeah.
I actually do.
You made me do that. Now it's weird. All right, sweet. Excellent.
We have also Chaotic Eagle with another 8 saying Jack will be proud of you, Space Nerds. Good show. Well, I think he will be proud. I don't know. Bacon proud. I don't know. I was gonna be making a pun out of that, but I didn't come out very well. Musical Wolf saying Moonbase Live Fund with another 2 as well, and more gifted Red Team memberships from Apocalypse Cow, Danger Moo, as Chris will say.
Yep.
And so I think I've already gone through all of the major stuff here. If we want to take some questions, I believe there's a bunch of at NASASpaceflight tags. But for that, somebody needs to yap first.
There it goes.
Because then I need to read through them, and then I can take them.
That's the end of a Raptor side. So it's like my brain
Yeah.
is saying, right, that's me unplugging the microphone.
There you go.
It needs more danger.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like a
I mean, Alex, so you're going to go through the questions. We want to move to the next thing. We got. There's more to talk.
Oh, hey.
Let's do
I was
some
saying-
questions. Yeah.
All right, tee it up.
I saw someone, CJ Fellows. It's not a question, but it is a good thing because we're probably going to be talking about it. They say, please no spoilers on the Everyday Astronaut video, please.
Mhm.
We're probably going to have to put like some kind of alert when we talk about it because we're definitely going to talk about it.
Yep.
So, like, if you haven't watched it, we'll probably have to put some kind of alert on screen or somewhere.
Wait a minute. Are
Kevin's
you talking
scrambling
about?
to get the thing?
Are you
Spoiler
talking
alert.
about the video?
There was hardware.
You're talking about.
Spoiler alert,
yeah,
it was
right.
Jeff.
Oh yeah, you're talking about that video with Tom Dude, the sometimes Astro Boy, and
Yeah.
Beef Jesus, right? Wait, did I not say their names right?
Close enough.
No, I think not. I
Good
think I
enough for
got it
government work.
right. Yeah, no, Tim's video is sick. It's really, really cool.
Yeah.
I also see Starship questions. We're gonna get to Starship because there's been a lot. I've heard that the testing today has been very slapping.
Alex, I can do an to you this time. They actually are hooking up B14.1 to the load spreader. So that slap tests are over.
We're gonna talk about what that means
There he is.
later in the show. Do we want to jump into the next topic, or
Yeah.
have we?
Let's go. Let's go into the next one.
Already,
So
yeah.
Tori Bruno's been hard and heavy with the posts on X this week about Vulcan, the CERT 2 mission that's going to happen, and I think he's doing it in an effort. I'm pretty sure he's doing it in an effort to show people like, hey, this exists. This exists. Burgonator, tee it up.
Yeah, so this is interesting. Basically, ULA's forward path. They've still got Atlas 5s to launch, but Vulcan is their new rocket, their new fancy rocket, and they've launched it already. This is a rocket where they're launching it with 2 BE4s on the back end, and that has worked first time well. So this pretty much keeps ULA's track record intact. They like to go with 100%. There's some definitions there where one payload didn't get particularly right orbit or whatever. But let's go with ULA and let's not go against them. They've not had any rockets go boom. So Vulcan is now looking forward to its second flight, which is interesting because it's launching nothing apart from a mass simulator. It's called CERT-2, and that's what it's all about. It's about the second launch of Vulcan, and Tori has said, reply to me, thank you, about the utilization of pushing the Centaur up a stage to more objectives to get through to the point that they can say that all of their vehicle is now validated for all the missions it's got coming up. And that's where it gets interesting, because remember, back in the day, Vulcan's first launch was going to be with Dream Chaser. That's when it was looking like that Dream Chaser would get that first Vulcan maiden flight and go to the ISS, but then Dream Chaser got pretty much delayed. And it's getting delayed quite a bit, actually, because Vulcan is going to pick up quite a lot, to the point that the third flight is likely to be USSF 87, and that might be by the end of the year. We don't know. We're going to see. It's for the US Space Force. In fact, it's actually going to be USSF 106, the next one. That's December. Then USSF 87. So that's the fourth flight. So where's Dream Chaser? Yeah. Where is Dream Chaser?
It's Dream Chaser is next year.
Next year, yeah. I mean, they could even launch GPS 3 before. So you're probably looking at Flight 6 on Vulcan for Dream Chaser. Now, anyone's feeling sad about that, don't feel too sad. That means Dream Chaser gets to launch on a vehicle that's launched 5 times beforehand. So that's good experience for Vulcan. It's probably safer, a mission assurance style for Dream Chaser, because we don't want any more spacecraft going to the ISS incidents, do we? We don't want any more of that. We want nice, clean missions now. So that's what it is. But projecting on the main one we've got coming up next is Flight 2. And that is now pretty much at the Cape Canaveral and has been raised into the Slick 41 configuration, so it's ready to go soon, and that's what we're looking forward to next. And again, BE4s, it's going to cross over with what we're talking later with the Blue Origin tour that Tim did, but BE4s, we talked about those engines being like very secretive, and we didn't know if they'd actually got any flight engine in. And then suddenly Tori posted pictures of flight engines, and we're like, okay, they finally got one, then they got another one, and now we're starting to see quite a lot of them. So BE4 is starting to spread its wings, not literally, a bit better now than it had been before. And that's pretty good news, not just for Vulcan, but also for New Glenn.
Yeah, and one thing that I should mention, because I'm seeing comments in chat, of course, and like talking about, why is it that it is going to be so late into the Vulcan flight history? And all comes down to the preparations for Dream Chaser. They are now starting to test Shooting Star, the cargo module that sits essentially underneath of the space plane. So there are a lot of things that they need to test. There are a lot of things that they need to ready. Vulcan cannot wait, right? This certification mission was going to be the flight for Dream Chaser for their for that spacecraft, but unfortunately it is not ready, and they really need this certification mission because it is precisely going to be the final mission that's going to certify Vulcan for military missions. And the DoD, Department of Defense, they really want those flights to happen. And so ULA is essentially trying to get as fast as they can through all of this in order to be able to, support those missions. And so once this mission, the Certification 2 mission is launched with Vulcan, they plan to get that within essentially 2 months in October-November timeframe, and then even a fourth flight with another military payload before the end of the year. So 4 flights, 3 of them within a quarter, essentially, of a year. That will be sort of the plan. But ULA, I think recently Tori tweeted out a sort of like a chart where they explain how many launches they want to do. They want to do 20 launches next year, which is bonkers. We'll see if they actually get to that. But just the thought of them attempting 20 launches for a traditional contractor, we're talking ULA, right? Like, these guys in recent years, they have not launched that much. So then saying we're going to attempt 20 launches, I don't know if they're going to reach 20 launches, of course, but it's quite a thing. And so they really need to get this cadence going. Dream Chaser will go when it is ready to go, when Vulcan is ready to go, and that's the whole deal with it. Like, it's there are other customers that really have been waiting for Vulcan for a long time to launch. They cannot wait for Dream Chaser to be ready and then launch Vulcan. That's how it is, and it's actually a loss for ULA if you think about it, because ULA
I'll actually, as
is
part
not
of
getting any money. Yeah.
the interesting thing about the flight cadence is that was brought up, and I know I asked Tori before he brought up the 20. I asked him a month or so before, and he's very good at replying, Tori. I asked him if he had enough engines for his upcoming manifest, and he said yes. So maybe on the BE4 front, they do have enough. Now, we know from pictures they've shared, they've got a lot of Vulcans in production. So that works as well. What would be, in your eyes, Alex, what would be the main issue of a potential bottleneck here for launching 20 Vulcans?
I think it's going to be the preparations for those launches, trying to handle, because they're not only launching Vulcan, but they're also launching the remaining Atlases. They have also 8 launches for Kuiper, for example, on Atlas. We'll see if they launch another Starliner next year. That's going to be another segment on today's show. But they also have Atlas, and Atlas takes a while to be able to be prepared for launch. They have designed Vulcan and all of the Vulcan infrastructure to essentially be able to launch 2 of these every month. But Atlas is not designed for that, and they can get good at it. But maybe if it's sort of like what happens with the SpaceX at LC-39A when they have a Falcon Heavy launch, and now the whole pad is all buggered for essentially 3 whole weeks, and it's like now we cannot launch from here in 3 weeks. Similar thing when you have this sort of correlation, and also the preparation of all the payloads when you have this mission precisely having to be launched essentially empty with just a simulator. That already shows that some of the payloads may not be ready. Others are, like, again, as I was saying, the military ones, but maybe others not. And Kuiper missions, for example, have been delayed for a little bit. Maybe EJ, you can chime in on that.
I'm not sure about the Project Kuiper missions, dude, but what I was going to say, and this is a question right back at you, so yeah, I don't mean to bounce it right back, but isn't ULA building a second vertical integration facility for Vulcan operations and Atlas operations, and then when they're going to like split them? So I mean, the point that I'm getting at to try and that the reason why that's topical is because one of them isn't finished.
Yeah.
Right now you have Vulcan and Atlas using one VIF, which I mean, don't get me wrong, that's some pretty awesome engineering right there to get 2 rockets to use 2 integration one integration building and 1 pad. That's actually super cool. I mean, like Falcon Heavy and Falcon 9, that was a good example, right? Yeah, but they have the second one is being made, right? Or modified.
It is still they were still building the base, the base of the mobile launcher as of a couple of months ago, and so they still have some work there. And I believe they said that they want to bring it online towards the middle of next year. So for the first half of the year, they're going to have a bunch of months and a bunch of days there where they're going to have just 1 building and 2 mobile launchers, and they need to, get all of that. It's the coordination between everything. It's not just the mobile launchers and the integration facilities. It's also the payloads, as I was saying. They need to be ready. If one delays a week or so, then that bumps other flights as well down the line. And so at the end of the day, you get that sort of difficulty. I'm not saying that they're not going to reach a much higher cadence that in recent years. I believe that they are in a good position for that. But I really doubt that we're going to see 20. 10, I will see that. Like, I think they are in a good position to get to 10, maybe 12 of them next year, and we'll see.
In all honesty, I think the backup is going to be payloads. I think at this point, obviously if they sold out all the Atlas 5s and everything, but given that pace that they're at currently, it's who's going to buy it? I mean, you've got all the Kuiper missions, yeah, but in terms of what it can lift, you've got Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy that can probably do it cheaper for the most part. So I feel like all you're going to end up getting is the government contracts that will keep it running, but no real customer payloads. That's my concern.
That is also true. Yeah.
I mean, guys, I don't mean to be like, well, we're talking about this, but I mean, it just shows that this is a Herculean effort. It's not just getting the rocket ready. It's not just getting the pad ready. Payloads, you got to have enough payloads. That's been the question about commercial space. I mean, Chris, you know this, dude. That's been the question about commercial space since when since like Getaway Special program with the shuttle, and so you probably know that one too, Alex. I don't know if you know that, right? So the Getaway Special program, guys, with the shuttle was where they sold off aggregate payload space for a rideshare mission for the shuttle. I mean, they stopped doing it because, of course, they did. But, that's always been the question. You scale up your rocket. You have all this payload capacity to orbit to be able to do it throughout the year, right? Where are the customers? Are your payloads even going to be ready? Are they internal payloads? Now, it works with SpaceX because they can scale Falcon 9 to Starlink, which is an internal payload, right? It's not just some black box, thing like, I don't know when the payload's going to be ready. It's not ours, right? That's a huge, that can open up a whole discussion in the neck of the woods about, like, do you build the rocket and customers will, if you build it, they will come, right? Like Field of Dreams style, or, do you build a rocket for a need, right? And I think that shows the duality between like what ULA is doing, because they're trying to build for need, versus like SpaceX, who's like, no, we need more Starlinks, more Falcons, let's go. Like,
and
it's a very interesting thing to think about.
Sawyer, it's kind of right there as well. Although, at least in the short term, at the very least, they do have a lot of launches. Again, Kuiper and government missions, they have been piled up. Both, I mean, he's also right in the sense that payloads have also been behind schedule a lot. So I was mentioning and hinting before is that Kuiper was supposed to launch late 2023, then spring 2024. We're essentially finishing summer 2024, and no Kuiper mission has happened, and it is certainly not because ULA doesn't have any rocket to launch them, right? So it's also another payload that is going behind.
Didn't they buy Atlas missions for this exact reason?
They bought 8 Atlas because they said we're gonna use Vulcan in the future, but let's buy Atlas first because we're gonna be ready before Vulcan. And then it's like, Atlas has been sitting around just like, yo, where my satellites at? Where are they? Right? It's like, where are they? Right? It's like that. It's pretty much like that. And so we'll see. I do think, and I agree that it's probably going to be the payloads, but also that coordination. And I believe Kevin has that. What you said earlier, EJ. That there you go. They have the
ConOps. Yep.
VIF Vertical Integration Facility G, which I don't even know why it's G. But it's supposed to be government, and then the other one is A because of Amazon. That's the second vertical integration facility. They have a ton of launches. Like, don't get me wrong, Amazon bought a ton of Vulcan missions, but once those run out, though, it is true what Sawyer said that in the long run, who's going to buy a Vulcan, right? They have customers, of course, but once those run out, who else is going to be coming online? I guess that also ties into a bit of the news that came out today of Sierra Space maybe buying ULA. That was a bit like, what?
Where'd they get the money from?
Yeah.
I didn't see that one coming, dude.
No, that was not on my bingo card. By the way, does the G stand for government?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yes, it does.
All right.
Yep.
I was wondering if we didn't know that or not. Cool.
Yeah, it's government and Amazon. Yeah, that's what Alex was just saying.
Oh,
yeah, the one.
Thank you.
The one that's they're redoing. I think they called it the Spock Space Operations Center. It's the Titan III solid rocket motor assembly facility. They're actually raising the roof. Yeah, I know. Okay,
Hey.
I won't do that again.
Hey.
Sawyer's like, hey, I'm like, no. They're raising the roof on it so they can vertically integrate a stack in there and then roll it down the tracks. Which is, if you're a Titan ITL fan out there, anybody? I mean, I'm an Ares fan, but Titan III is cool.
Titan 3 is great.
Oh no, Titans.
Yeah,
I love Titans.
They're redoing the tracks for part of the ITL. ULA restored all the tracks, which is super cool. I also like trains. We're going off the rails, or are we?
Hey.
All right.
Oh, jeez.
So yeah, guys. I mean, we'll pivot to the. It's oh, geez. All right, it's bad. All right, cool. Just thanks for letting me know. All right, so we got time to pivot. You guys were talking about Sierra Space. We didn't see that one coming. Sierra Space looking to purchase ULA. Chris, you're saying where are they getting the money? Why would you say that?
Because I get on really well with them. I get on really well with them. They split away from Sierra Nevada Corporation, so there's like two separate companies. Now they go to pain to tell us that Sierra Space are nothing to do with SNC. Now, Sierra Space are a smaller splinter configuration of a company, which is now dedicated towards some satellite manufacturer, but they're mainly gone to SNC and mostly Dream Chaser. And I do know that they're quite a small team now in respect to what SNC was after the Crew Dream Chaser was denied unfairly, in my opinion, and many other people's opinion. From the commercial crew contracts, they downsized drastically. I mean, drastically. And that's where part of the split came from. So where they found the money to buy ULA, I don't know. I mean, is it in cooperation with some like big funder? Some like a hedge fund or something? I don't know. I honestly don't know how they'd go out and buy them. I just do not see. You look at companies like Northrop Grumman. You look at companies like Rayathon, people like that. They've got the big military money. You can understand that, and it makes sense to them as well because of what ULA does. Sierra Space, what?
Yeah, didn't see that one. Did not see that one coming. I mean, it makes sense, right? But yeah, Sawyer, what do you think? It's kind of out of left field.
Yeah, you're not kidding. I mean, when I think of Sierra Space, all I think of is Dream Chaser and, potentially future space station. But I've talked to them back, when it was still planned that they were going to do Crew Dream Chaser as part of the commercial crew program, uh, Sierra Nevada Corporation at the time. And it was always such a small, tight knit group that was very focused on one thing. I think it's going to be interesting to see how they're able to upscale their operation, how they're going to be able to expand. And I mean, yeah, it helps that Dream Chaser is going to be launching on Vulcan eventually. But I don't know. It's going to be quite the culture shock, I think, too, of merging, ULA as it is with the military and Kuiper payloads versus Sierra Space, which I don't mean this in a bad way. It's a little bit more on the laid back side. They're
Yeah.
more of the we have our project. It's cool. It's going to be great when it launches versus ULA. We have to hit 100% everything military. Da da da.
Yeah, their press people are awesome. They will go out of their way to help you because they're that kind of company that, they're not overdone with public relations people where you can go down an endless rabbit hole to try and find the right person who will talk to you about the right things that you need to ask. You can just go and ask these people at Sierra Space and they'll come back and they'll do everything they can for you. I hope that doesn't change. At the same time, I hope that Tory Bruno stays head of the totem pole because obviously he's done a great job with ULA. And
Absolutely. Love that guy.
that's the problem with mergers and things like acquisitions. You tend to mishmash the organizational makeup of it, and I worry about that
McDonnell
sort
Douglas.
of
McDonnell Douglas boy.
thing.
Oh, sorry, guys. I got something. I should have
cough there,
muted the
AJ.
mic. Yeah. No, sorry. No, I'm good.
I
What?
had also a question from chat, which I think I lost it. It was essentially about another sort of thing that has happened, which it kind of is sort of related with Vulcan, which is the team interview. I guess we can already talk about it. Now is the time. 'Cause we're talking essentially precisely about the acquisition. I saw a comment talking about, how back in the day, I mean, until recently, the sort of discussion was, ooh, is Blue Origin buying ULA? Like, is that going to happen? And now there's suddenly Sierra Space, right? It's like, what? And so I guess that sort of goes back because it reminded me of that interview, that team, that tour that team just did with Jeff. Looking at all of that, I don't know how Blue could benefit, for example, from ULA. I do see ways in which Sierra Space can benefit from getting ULA, but as Chris was saying, where are they going to be getting their money, right, for that? But I do see the benefit because they actually have launches on on Vulcan, where they have that Dream Chaser, as I was talking about before, and so they have probably some incentive on obtaining the ULA launchers, on getting some piece of that pie of the government contracts. some relations with Blue Origin as well, because Blue Origin and Sierra Space are working on the orbital reef as well. So and it's going to be Dream Chaser, the one that's going to be resupplying that station. And so there's some incentives for Sierra Space to be able to get their own line of rockets, their own, that kind of stuff, apart from the Dream Chaser spacecraft. I can see that. I just don't see that from Blue Origin. I guess perhaps that sort of tour that Tim did showcases that very well, because Blue has their own factory. They have their own rocket. They don't need any of that. They don't need any of the stuff that ULA has. You could say, but they need maybe the government contracts. And it's like, well, maybe they can just get them by moving ULA aside, right? Like in the next round of contracts in 2028, maybe they could get that and not ULA. I'm done.
Ding,
You
ding,
can
ding,
already...
ding, ding. I would like to disagree. Ooh.
Ooh.
Right.
Oh, spicy time. Let's go.
I think Blue Origin were perfect for an acquisition of ULA, because the BE4, if you think about it, they could easily put it on their books that they're selling between entities, even through a merger. So there's ways of doing this where the commonality of the engine becomes a big factor, and then they can tailor, as a combined organization, the contracts they go after with ULA's experience and the obvious military contracts, the government contracts, and Blue Origin being the kind of like cool kid with a reusable rocket and what have you. It to me, it sounded like a perfect mix and match of the two. However, the merger was proposed, whereas any other potential suitor for ULA didn't make as much sense, including Sierra Space. It doesn't make enough sense to me. I'm sure it's true. I'm just saying it doesn't make as much sense to me as Blue Origin does, because of the commonality factors and also the variation, the similar redundancy. There you go. We're back to that again. Of the two kind of rockets. Personally, I thought Blue were nailed on as the best potential option for a combined company.
But I was going to say, though, at that point, you've got competitive rockets there. I feel like Vulcan and New Glenn are in a similar enough category. I mean, New Glenn obviously is a little bit more powerful, but I feel like they're in a similar category that it would be weird to have two vehicles that are just like that, to have both Vulcan and then New Glenn all under one roof. I feel like you need that competition, and that if it merged that way, it would create a mini monopoly in a way on that size launch market, with the only competitor at that point then being maybe Falcon Heavy.
I wonder what they'd call it as well if it was Blue. Would it be Blue Launch Alliance? United Blue Alliance? A lot of fun with that. Blula. Yeah, I like that. Blula.
Blue LA, yes.
Chris Rogers said in chat, if Sierra Space buys ULA, it possibly makes it cheaper to launch Dream Chaser for private crew flights. Broadens the private space tourism market in a big way. I mean, that's probably like that goes a bit into what I said before, that I can see the reasons why Sierra Space might be interested, because they have a spacecraft but they don't have a rocket. And then ULA has a rocket but they don't have a spacecraft. And when you can combine both, then you can get a much stronger, company overall. Like, I guess the small sat launchers are a bit of an example there, where you have Rocket Lab, for example. They have made the Electron rocket, then they had Photon, and now they have a bunch of other different satellites. Like, for example, the ones that are launching on the first flight of Blue Origin's New Glenn, the Escapade satellites, those were built by Rocket Lab for NASA. So there's a bunch of these things where it's like, if you can broaden your, get better capabilities, more options for your company to be able to succeed, that's interesting from a private company standpoint. So I do sort of agree with that. Yeah. I think, do we have no more questions?
Clear the queue.
See.
I think we have some.
I'll tell you one thing I'll do. I'll quickly just mention that
we have support. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I want to take a second here quickly, if you don't mind, and Sawyer flex a bit.
Do it. Oh no.
Of course, yes. Yeah, this photo that you see that was taken by me Oh, come on, Kevin. This is a photo that was taken by me of the that core stage rolling on its way right off of the boat, off of the ship called Rocket Ship, heading into Cape Canaveral Space Force Station ahead of preparation. And I gotta say, I mean, this is a wide angle shot. When you get up close to that thing, it's got the Sophie on it. It has that foam, the same kind that you see on shuttle, that you see on SLS. It's very obvious the textural difference once you go up to that red paint and go, "Oh, that's foam, all right." It's kind of funny looking up close, but at the same time, when you look at it from the wide angle, it is, gotta admit, a gorgeous rocket. Sorry,
I'm
just
staring at the
wanted to
trap ray.
flex.
I'm staring at the trap ray. I'm sorry. I was looking at the picture. I'm like, what is he talking about? I'm like, oh, all right. In chat, real quick, what if the deal is structured like how it is when someone buys a sports team? They say buy 50% up front and then slowly over time buy the other 50. You're talking about SNC with ULA. I mean, maybe. It's possible. I don't know. I mean, the fact that we're even considering that it could be like sports team acquisitions, I think, in the commercial rocket market is a very interesting thought, you know?
We're about the same price as a Premier League team. About 5 billion these days.
Jeez. Man.
Go sports.
That's
Oh, by the way,
sports
yeah, there
ball.
was a point I wanted to bring up that a lot of people keep bringing this up as well, is Crew Dream Chaser. Why did you do Crew Dream Chaser? That is a long way off. Either ways, yes, Cargo Dream Chaser would be the outer mode line, the shape of the vehicle, in the same configuration, but the problem is, when they lost down the commercial crew contract, a lot of the workforce dedicated towards the Crew Dream Chaser departed. So it's a massive rehire, and potentially the same people they let go. It's a big ask. It's not a simple flick of a switch here. So Crew Dream Chaser, as much as I'd love to see it, is a long way off if they ever decided that was a potential thing.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I'm seeing some support. I'm gonna run through those, and then we're probably gonna tackle the next other topic as well here. Which, oh boy, yeah. So we have a bunch of gifted memberships. So I'm gonna go through those first. Wayne Edward with 1 Red Team membership, gifted as well here, and then we have RC Horseman with 5 Red Team memberships gifted. Then Squig 311, also 5 Red Team memberships. And then Telstar 86 with 1 Red Team memberships. You know, that is essentially like what, 5, 7, right? Did I do the math right? Or 12? Did I miss a 5? I think. Anyways,
Why are you asking
thank
me
you
to
all
do
for
math,
You went a
those
little
extra
fast.
memberships. Because, you know, I wanted to say, okay,
Go ahead.
no,
You want to say
Talk.
something?
Go ahead.
Can you say RC Horseman again?
RC
please?
Horseman.
That was so quick.
Oh, you have. That's why you have the horsey.
I'm
Okay.
trying.
The horsey sound.
I even know
You should let me know in the back channels so that I can be ready, just like the pew pew. But yeah, thank you all for those. Again, you know, that's a bunch of other people that now can have access to the membership program. And then we have that diabetic kid with a $5 super chat talking about, I guess, you know, maybe some people might not have seen this news. How does Chris feel about the shuttle landing facility being damaged by Hennessy testing a car, minimal damage, but still damage? I saw this news. I think that was
Crazy.
like last month, though. So it seems like that was very quick. It was essentially an accident that happened while they were, I think they were testing the car. Yeah, that's not good, but you know.
Yeah, all
Chris.
I would say is I'm fine with that because shuttle no longer lands there. But as long as they didn't damage the markers, there's a markers on the SLF where STS-135 wheel stop was marked, and that became a plaque. They always mark the landing spot of the wheels, the main landing gear and the nose landing gear on the runway. But for 135, they actually put down plaques after they marked them. So as long as there's plaques still there, I'm fine.
Should have more marks. That's all I'm saying. Not salty.
Yeah, it would not be
I am.
good to get rid of those. I will
Have
agree
more
with that
marks.
as well.
We're more
Okay.
shuttles.
But
should land.
where is the X-37B gonna land? Because that thing's coming back sometime in the next 1 day to 5 years.
from
It's
now
gonna
until
land at
the
the
death heat of the universe.
place. Yeah, it's gonna land at the place. Anyway, thank you so much for the support, guys, and thanks for the good questions. And Alex, thank you for co-hosting this with me. I appreciate it because I suck.
It's okay.
Anyway, so next topic, Alex. We're going right back. We're going right back
Yeah.
to you. I know this is your
I know.
favorite topic to talk about. We're going to talk about your all-time favorite spacecraft, Starliner. That's a good word.
Well, time for the glasses, I guess. So it appears that we're still in waiting time. Unfortunately, we still don't have any sort of confirmation on when that return will happen. NASA, as that tweet was saying, I mean, you can show it, Kevin. I was about to mention that. NASA is still evaluating all options. They have not made a decision on whether returning Butch and Sonny on Starliner or do that on Crew Dragon. They are still looking at it. They had a conference this week. They prefaced it very, very quickly at the beginning. We're not doing any major updates today, but they wanted to have a talk about safety, how they look at it, and sort of answer general questions from the media. So I think there are a few things, and there's the sort of summary from Ryan Caden. One of the that was from the last week, I believe, which is the plans. So if anybody was not here last week, I guess we can maybe summarize. There's a plan essentially to be able to bring Suni and Butch back on Crew Dragon. It will be on Crew 9 instead of a Starliner, but it's a backup, a contingency. They're looking at it, but they have not decided. That's sort of the short explanation here. And again, as I was saying before, the new thing this week was that NASA updated this week precisely saying that they have not decided yet, but one of the people that was there was Joe Acaba. He's the chief of the astronaut office. One of the things that he said, for example, is that this is not an option that the crew can say, oh, we prefer this, we prefer that. It's going to all come down to the engineers and the management teams that they're going to be deciding like, oh, maybe Sunny, she wants the Starliner or something. Like, that's not up to the crew, right? It's up to the folks that actually know about this, that get the final consent. They're gonna have a program control board or something like that. I think it's the technical name. I'm not good at those technical names because all the management side of
PCB, dude.
things
That's right.
is not my thing. But they're gonna have that at the end of next week, and then after that, they're gonna be bringing that up to the administrator, essentially to all of the the associate administrator, Jim Free, and everything towards the middle of the following week. Towards the beginning, excuse me, of the following week, and that will be essentially the timeline. They have that hard cutout at the end of the month because they want more time, but you got to make a decision at one point because it is always good, especially when you have people involved, to look through all the data. This probably is something that we have already talked for the last month, but it is good to look at all the data to make sure that whatever decision that you're making, it is an informed decision, that you're not just twiddling your thumbs and just looking at the ceiling and then suddenly you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna choose this. No, it's not like that, right? So they're looking at all that data, trying to make an informed decision, but they have to make it before the end of August. So that's the timeline. A program control board by the end of next week, then it goes up to the big guys, so to speak, to make the final decision there in the readiness review at the beginning of the following week. So it's going to be at least another week before we have, or a week and a half until we have any news on when and where the two astronauts return. But that's essentially where we are right now. They talk a bit more about the sort of the understanding about the Teflon seal and everything, about how some of the dissenting opinions within NASA were not about saying, oh no, we don't want them to return on Starliner, or oh yeah, I want them to return on Crew Dragon. No, it was not like that. It was more about, dude, this is too much complicated. This is very, very tedious to look at all of the minutia, and so it's like we really need more data. We really need more folks to help on this. And one of the examples that they gave was teams that work on robotic missions, that work on spacecraft that are thousands, if not millions of miles away. They need to troubleshoot their propulsion systems. How do they do that without looking at their propulsion system? They cannot retrieve that. Like, imagine having to work on New Horizons, for example, or the Voyager spacecraft. So these kinds of people stepped up, so to speak, and are helping NASA, the human spaceflight side of things, because a very similar option, or a very similar problem has appeared here, where, well, you cannot really bring back that service module and do all of that work, so you have to do it remotely. So these people are helping on that. I think I've run through most of the big hitter points here, because again, it was not a week of major updates, but they tried to let us understand a little bit more in what situation they are.
Yeah. So here's the question. This is to Chris and Sawyer. I mean, Alex, chime in too. What do you guys think? What's your gut feeling here? Keep in mind, this is just gut feelings from us. Wait, what? I thought it was glasses time. All right, he put his glasses on. Why are you looking at me like that?
We put a sunglasses on the horse.
Yeah, but actually, I've seen it before. Anyway, digressing. I would quickly think that the way this is heading, the way this is being set up now, is that Butch and Sonny will be coming back on Dragon in February. That Starliner will undock and it will come back nominally and land nominally, and everyone will go, "Look, everything was fine." The thing is that probably will happen, and it's still probably the right decision because crew safety first, just in case the things that could have happened. So that makes sense. But they can't really, because the service module, someone actually asked in the press conference, can you try and do something to bring the service module back down? No, you can't do that. It's not coming back down. So they can't get hands-on with it. So they can't get any more data. So I don't know what they can do between now and the next Starliner launch that mitigates whatever they've been pondering for the past few weeks now that has ended up with a decision not to allow them to come back, if that is the decision that's taken. So, yeah, it's an interesting one. It really is. I do know that, and this goes back to the early days of the problem, that they were working on changes for the next Starliner already. So maybe they'll find some validation in the changes they've made. But yeah, my question would be more now about when the next Starliner goes up and if it goes up crewed. Because they could easily say the next Starliner has to prove itself again and goes up uncrewed. I'd be interested in what Sawyer thinks about that.
Yeah, I mean, the first orbital flight test was such a disaster with the onboard clock issue and not even making it to the station that I get why they added an OFT2. I don't know if you can send up an OFT3 after already doing a crew flight test. I feel like if they do it again, it would be another test with just 2 crew members, although they would be a lot more cautious of how much time they actually announce that they're intending to stay on station. Because they said from day one that 8 days was the minimum. Everyone keeps saying, oh, they said it was only an 8-day mission. Technically not true. They said that they would be up there for at least 8 days, but could extend the mission. And I asked them, oddly enough, in the press conference immediately after launch, I asked them, hey, what would be some of the things that would cause the mission to go beyond 8 days? And they said, there's nothing specific. It would just, we'll see what happens as it comes up, and go figure this is what comes up. And here we are in mid-August still talking about them on station. But I think at this point, they're going to play the better safe than sorry card and have them stay up there and come back on Dragon. It also proves the importance of the dissimilar architecture, so that you've got one spacecraft different enough from the other that you could bring them back safely. And the other thing that I just have to point out that was really interesting about that press conference, not a single person from Boeing was on it.
Yeah.
I mean, Steve Stitch wasn't there either, dude.
Yeah, they were essentially safety folks at the end of the day. I mean, there was also Ken Bauer's as well, but yeah.
Some of the answers that we got from that press conference, despite no new information being presented, was pretty good. Those panels were pretty good. But yeah, there was Steve Stitch and Mark Nappy weren't there, which is, I mean, I don't know. You guys want to read? I'm sure someone's going to read into that too much, but, they said they were hard at work doing the faults reading,
Yeah, I feel like in some sense, especially because of their remarks, they wanted to be more open about the way that they think about the situation. If you like, if you recall, for example, one of the like a bunch of the comments from them was more about how they felt in. I mean, felt. You know what I mean, right? In NASA language, NASA speak. Um, how the dissenting opinions were more like right rather than a sort of catfight kind of thing. It was more um of just needing a bit more, like being insecure, essentially being not fully sure of what else is being presented, right? That they feel like they need more data, more opinions, more things to be presented. um and I think at the end of the day, that's probably the whole purpose of that update in quotes there. But I do agree with you, EJ, that there was some things that they did say that was interesting. I'm gonna say though, interesting in a certain way. I do remember
Wait,
one of the
Did you just say
things.
you agreed with me on something?
Wait, hang on.
Okay. All right.
Because there was one thing that they said. They were asked
Proceed.
if they do not return, if the two astronauts do not return on Starliner and they return on Crew Dragon, will that still make the mission a success, or will that be considered a mishap? Because on the NASA, requirements, it will be considered one of the types of mishaps or incidents, essentially during a mission, and they actually referred to the actual. I believe Das actually posted in the back channels when we were listening to that whole thing, and he posted the document where it says that. And all they were able to say is that, this did not happen, this did happen. And so at the end of the day, the short version of the answer was maybe it will not be a mishap, it will be a mission success. It's like,
Dude, I don't
okay,
think that because NASA's never been in this particular situation because of redundant dissimilar architecture, right? If there was only Starliner going to the space station, we'd be mishapping for days, right? But because we have redundant dissimilar architecture, I'm pretty sure NASA's like, I don't know what to do with my hands.
someone saying in chat, FAA will call it a mishap. You know what? That will be a great question to ask to the FAA, because we don't know. That is one of the things that will be great to ask the FAA.
So, dude, I know people call me the Boeing fanboy over here, guys, but I actually wanted to show you guys something, and I told Kevin to tee this up, right? When I was going and doing some research here, no, I'm not talking about browsing social media for like 4 hours, and then saying you've done research. We actually looked at the technical reports server. And me and my chat found this PDF. Hi, Twitch chat. You guys rock. Only sometimes. We found a PDF from 2004 by the AIAA, which is it's talking about poppet bulging on hypergolic thrusters from the shuttle. No particular reason for bringing that up. The PDF is from 2004. I don't want to bring that up. So, like the interesting thing, and this is why I wanted to bring it up, is because it shows that. I mean, don't get me wrong. Starliner's thrusters, we know they're derived from the shuttle. I'm pretty sure, but they're not exactly the same, or maybe they are. I don't know. Maybe they reused it like they reused Orion. But it's interesting to see that the behavior that we've been getting and what the behavior that they've been telling us from the press conferences is clearly some behavior that's known correctly. Like they knew about this. And there's no way that they didn't see this before. They knew poppet bulging was something that, like, this is seal degradation and that Teflon, the PTFE bulge happening is not something that I'm not them, that they didn't know about, right? Interesting. And if you look over here, over there. If you look over here, that graph that I wanted to show you guys is the amount of thrusters that had poppet bulging. Some of it's in flight, some of it's not in flight. The PDF's actually super interesting that they were having bulging from moisture getting in the engine, so they had to plug the engine. But the interesting thing there is that the plug that they made for the engine is actually causing the poppet to bulge more. This whole PDF is super, super cool if you read about it. But it's interesting thing to think about that it's from 2004. and we're kind of running into this same thing again. So I guess, in light of this, my question nowadays would be like, is what's happening with Starliner this? It certainly seems like it, but I'm no rocket scientist. I don't know. I just sit here. You know what I mean? I'm wondering if this is what's going on. Maybe it's a different failure mode. We don't know, but it's still something interesting to point. It's still something interesting to bring up, and I thought it poignant to the conversation.
You know what, EJ? I didn't know you were going to bring up poppets, and immediately, as soon as you said the word poppets, I thought, hang on a minute, that rings a few bells. I actually wrote several articles about STS-126 where they had an issue with one of the poppets on the flow control valve inside the MPS, which main propulsion system, for those who don't know, literally cracked off and went down the piping at hypersonic velocity. Luckily, did not wreck any of the pipes inside the MPS, otherwise that would have blown the aft off Discovery, so aft off the vehicle. So that would have been bad. And I've just got a picture there I've pulled out of the article I've did on that one, which is interesting because it just shows you how poppets can be quite dramatic sometimes. They never did find that piece, by the way, that was missing. They never found it. They only found the valve, the poppet, with the issue, but they never found the debris from it. They never discovered it, so it must have just absolutely vaporized.
Yeah, I mean, it's a rocket engine after all. Most things that find their way into the combustion chamber, you're not getting back. Right? It's general consensus. Yeah, no, it's good. It's good.
By the way, there are now 2 poppets on screen. The poppet from there and Elmo.
The horse is called Poppet, ironically.
So 3. Get it? Poppet, puppet.
Yeah. Oh dear. But yeah, I find that interesting because a lot of the people involved in this investigation, as we discussed on previous flame trenches, have a lot of that shuttle experience. So they're not people who won't know about these things. They'll be fully aware of it.
You guys, I've always, Chris, I mean, and what I've been trying to do is that, this is where I got called a, mouthpiece a bunch of times before, and that's fine, whatever. It's just the internet. It's no problem. Keep it coming, guys. Keep the hate coming. I thrive off it. Let's go. Honestly, like I've been trying to be as kind of technically oriented about, the seal degradation of these poppet seals. And I was saying, like, that fault tree analysis takes time. People in chat they called me out on it already. Nikki, I'm looking at you. That's right. Called you out on a flame trench. Now what? No. Guys, the point that I'm trying to say is that, your opinion about this my opinions about this, and they very much are opinions, is that it can change. Like, in light of this, it's very clear that because there's such a carryover from shuttle personnel, that somebody knew something about this. However, I've been saying on my stream over on my end, and people are, once again, people are going to hate me. Here he goes. This whole thing reeks of inexperience, right? The whole thing reeks of inexperience. And, guys, I'm not trying to sit here and draw lines that aren't there, but that OIG report that came out, albeit on SLS Block 1B a little while ago, did say that there's a ton of inexperience because when the shuttle program went out, you fired all the people that knew how to work on these thrusters. That PDF report that I had Kevin put up on the screen, the conclusions for the report were to do a bunch of modifications to the thrusters. But they're essentially glorified field modifications. So it's something that the shuttle technicians would have been doing at the Cape, not the people that made the thrusters. So you go and make more thrusters, same design, different capsule, right? You don't have those technicians there. You didn't retain any of your technical base. So what was the point of using shuttle reused parts if you didn't retain the people that knew how to work on it? You know what I mean? Whole thing reeks of inexperience. You know what I mean? And that's not to say that the engineers at Boeing that are working on Starliner aren't competent. I know people are going to laugh at me for that, but it's true, right? Not saying that they aren't, but also, how were they supposed to know, right? But then again, you can clearly make the argument here that there's PDFs, there's plenty of documentation on this. Like, me showing you guys that PDF puts a bunch of holes in my argument, but it shows that I'm trying to understand it. I'm not trying to play one side or the other. You know what I mean?
I don't see how you're being like any kind of Boeing mouthpiece there at all.
They hate me.
Saying, no, you're not. You're saying the things that are out there and that have been cited by the people being most critical about Boeing. So, you're being fair there because the flip side is some of the criticism out there is almost playing towards the general fan base that is Boeing's bad, SpaceX is good. There's a lot of tribalism in spaceflight, especially within the community and the fan base. And that goes across several varying levels. But the ultimate thing is Boeing has had a problem, and there's no hiding from that.
Yep.
And it's
I mean,
also it goes back to
hard to
Dream
say that
Chaser.
that-
A lot of us go back to Dream Chaser and the three options there, down select, and Boeing was the most expensive and the one that's under-delivered so far. You can only speculate where Dream Chaser would have been had Dream Chaser won over Starliner. We just don't know. We don't know.
Yeah.
But
I mean, we can't predict the future, dude, right?
that
Like,
is
hard
stuck
to
in
say.
people's minds, though. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's anything that you can't consider, right? Like, it's like, well, what could have been, right? You never know. I mean, Sierra clearly has some capital behind him from the previous discussion that we just had a second ago, right? Like, you know, if even there's a whisper of them trying to buy ULA, there's clearly some capital there. So maybe they could have done it. I don't know. But guys, I guess like what I'm trying to say is like, you know, thinking about, it was just on the screen. You're thinking about that they definitely knew about this Poppet stuff happening, right? It's hard to say anything else than, you know, like this is something that's already happened. This didn't need to happen. So what's going on? Like, I think that's a fair question to ask at this point, you know?
Yeah, I mean it's definitely fair. We've seen it's one of those where history is doomed to repeat itself, unfortunately, and I think that's kind of the point that we're at. Plus the fact that we've seen issues with thrusters, even going back to OFT2. It's not like this is something where, oh, this is the first time we're ever seeing it. They saw it on shuttle. Hopefully that information got passed along. I mean, if you could find it in a Google search, I'm sure Boeing is aware of it. The fact that there was the issues with the thrusters that delayed the launch of OFT2. You have internal documents at that point that are saying, hey, there's been issues. So I feel like they have to know about it at this point. And I guess the question now is just where they go from here once they get the crew home safely.
Right. I mean, clearly there's field fixes for this because that PDF also showed that there was on-orbit failures, and they clearly mitigated them with the shuttle by having other thrusters.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like,
Yeah,
the shuttle has a lot of those on there.
Let's put some context into this as well. Butch and Sonny are going to come back fine. NASA's got the option now. They're going to come back. Myself and Sonny and EJ as well. We're from an era where if RS-25 and SSME knocked itself out during first stage ascent, you might be seeing a dead crew. That's the context of where we are now. When people start saying, "Oh no, Butch and Sonny are in so much danger," they're not. They're fine. They're on the ISS. They've got options. If they decide there's even a slight chance, it's not a good idea to come back on Starliner, to come back on the Crew 9 Dragon. That's fine. So we're talking about problems that are less of a problem than in the earlier days. Crew safety is a big deal now. And everything we're seeing, all the delays, the decisions, the press conferences don't say too much. At least they're doing the right thing. Because we're from an era where they used to railroad descent to the point of launch fever. And that was where we saw a Challenger. So it's a different era now. So I'm more relaxed in that context. And I can understand a lot of people not appreciating that because they've got into spaceflight because of SpaceX and recent things that have gone on. And that's brilliant and well done and welcome to you all. But that's our job to give you some context on how scary it used to be compared to what it is now.
I mean, even what happened in the events leading up to 107, man, you can't do anything about that. Like so they couldn't figure out, if Columbia had a problem, they couldn't figure it out. How are you going to do it? You have no EVA suits on board. You have no boom sensor sweeper, which ironically is not ironically, it ended up flying on shuttle missions. It's a selfie stick that the shuttle could carry so it could look underneath. There's no way to look underneath. Nobody can go out there. Nobody can see it. So they don't even, they wouldn't even get to the point of a fault tree analysis. So, not that the Columbia crew could go anywhere. Now we have that luxury, and that's exactly what it is. It's a luxury. All these people saying, Starliner is too expensive. Well, guess what? Look what happened. It completely changes NASA's entire flight rationale on this whole subject. With 107, they weren't sure. They didn't know. And what are you going to do? Send up another shuttle? What if that one breaks too? You're screwed. You were screwed on all levels. Like, we don't have to worry about this anymore. Thank God. Like this is important stuff to understand. And that's why tracing this fault tree is really important. But they have the time to do it. Chris, you're exactly right, and they have the time to do it. You just sit on the ISS, no harm, no foul. Help fix the toilet, which they did.
Legit.
It did help fix the toilet. We learned that from the press interview too.
Also, if you're wondering what they could have done for a shuttle rescue mission of some kind, say when they were servicing Hubble, about the STS-125 and STS-400, we do have a video about that on this very YouTube channel.
Oh, shuttle vids from NSF, I'm in,
Hang on,
dude.
I'll find it and spam it. Hang on a second. Keep talking. It'll take me a while. I'm quite old.
dude,
I can
Yeah.
take a very,
Oh, you're
I
back.
guess, a very fitting question from the chat. It is from Andy. They're asking, in case of Starliner crew returns in Dragon capsule, which suits are they going to be using? And that's why I said it's
question.
very fitting. 'Cause, anyways.
Oh, not you two.
I
she's doing it now. Oh my god.
Oh, I've been making sure that Alex's puns have been increasing, and if you go back to the broadcasts over the last year, he's been succeeding.
But yeah,
That's
He
amazing.
answered it at least.
and that is a great question for a very simple fact. If they return on Crew Dragon, Starliner needs to undock first, because the docking port where Starliner is located right now is the one that Crew 9 Crew Dragon will be docking to. So for that period of time between Starliner undocking and Crew 9 going up to the station, you will have both astronauts with no way of coming home in a sense that will be safe, so to speak. It will be not unsafe, but a little bit riskier, right? That's part also of why this sort of decision is not as straightforward, because now they are on station, they don't have a backup option other than that, crouching underneath of the seats on Endeavour, on Crew 8, right? That and without a suit compatible with Crew Dragon, because they will not have a suit compatible with the stuff on Crew Dragon. However, once Crew 9 launches, Crew 9 will have the suits for them. So that is a thing that NASA has said that if they were to do this, then Crew 9 will go up with the suits for Sonny and Butch, precisely to be able to have them fitted to the seats and be able to, not have unprotected reentries, right? It's not that is the worst thing. They can survive, but there are certain contingencies where you wouldn't want them to be without suits, essentially. So that increases the risk.
Yeah. That, and dude, it's just kind of shows that these more press conferences, you get more answers to it. Like once again, a couple weeks ago, Eric Berger made a big fuss over at Ars Technica. He made a big fuss about more transparency, and I firmly believe we got this extra press conference because of what he did.
Yeah,
absolutely. There's no question. And look, we've learned a bunch of things, and there was actually a string of amazing questions. Learned a bunch of new things about contingency procedures. And I don't know about you guys. I love listening to those press conferences. You're always going to learn something. It's really interesting to get that perspective from the people that are actually working on this stuff. So the push for transparency has been ace. That's really good stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, did you guys get that link in chat? You sure?
Yeah, I saw Chris spamming it. That's
Yeah,
why I did
get the link.
This question.
Did you get it? Okay, cool.
There you
sure. So
let's see. There's. If you
can I answer a question that I saw in chat real quick, Alex? So,
of course.
Stephen Lowry. Yeah, dude, that's my question. That's what I'm wondering. So who asked this question? I think it was Will Robinson Smith that asked this question. He asked the question about what you're talking about, Alex, in the event, when Starliner has to undock, you have to free up that docking port. There's only going to be a Soyuz and a Dragon, that the only two human-rated modules there. Crew 8 can hold 4, Soyuz can hold 3. There's 9 astronauts on the space station. So that question from Will is actually really good, because it exposed, Joel basically said the contingency there is for them to get in their craft with no spacesuit. Like what Alex was saying a second ago, get in there with no spacesuit. But we also learned something, and that's why this question is pertinent, Alex. That's why I was like, no, let me answer this one. The suits aren't compatible. No, non-compatible fittings.
Hmm.
which is very interesting to me. Like, don't get me wrong, redundant dissimilar architecture, like what we always talk about, right? Having two capsules better than one. But also, I can recall a incident in NASA's past history when the life support systems didn't
13th.
talk to each other. Yeah. That's weird. I can recall pretty high level mishap. We'll say the thing exploded when your life support systems weren't
I
compatible.
believe it is this
yeah.
question that I'm about to
Oh, okay, dude. All right, cool.
to
We're on the
highlight.
same page.
It's gonna appear down here, I think, if the panel works. But yeah, I saw the question. What is the
Yep.
justification that NASA didn't force the suits to work universally?
Yep.
It
Right?
did not appear. Okay, never mind.
Well,
That's the panel,
broke
not me.
it.
I
Did you
Yeah,
press
no,
the
right.
big green tick?
Yes.
right? So, what why wouldn't you standardize the fittings there? Like, don't you think they would learn from that? I'm sure. Like, I'm not saying that I know better. Don't get me wrong. I don't. Look at idiot. Like, come on. I'm wondering what the design decision behind that. What was your rationale for doing something like that? Like, why did that even happen? Apollo 13 sticks out as very prevalent of why you should at least standardize some fittings. And I see some people in chat saying, "Oh, add an adapter," or "Oh, add more seats to Dragon." Understand, guys, that the context of this is getting them down safe. The seats in Dragon need to rotate. Dragon's rated for 4. If you have a car that holds 4 people and you clown car it and put 8 people in it, something goes wrong, you're in for a really bad day. That's doubly true, or maybe even triple, quadruple, a bajillion times more true with a spacecraft that's basically cutting a hole in Earth's atmosphere and being surrounded by walls of plasma. A little rough, right?
Now,
It's very, very interesting, right? Like, what's up?
Because you're bringing that up.
Right? Like,
What about
kind of weird?
Apollo 13 was with the lunar program. We're talking here in the context of a low Earth orbit, commercialization, and everything. What about HLS, right? When astronauts go to the moon under the Artemis program, they're going to be launching an Orion with the pumping suits and everything, right? Then they're going to hop on the HLS Starship, where the Axion suits are going to be on. What if you have an emergency that does not allow you to, like, say there's a decompression or something like that, and you need to go from one to the other, and now you cannot put the Orion suit. And you need to come
Alex,
back on
I think
Orion
that's
without the Orion suit, right? It's like,
I think that's a really good question,
Yeah.
man. To be
that
honest,
comes
dude,
up with the same issues. Apollo did not have that because the suits for they were essentially the same basic suit. You just added more things just to make them be able to do the moonwalks, right? There was like helmet things and the PSLS, whatever, and all that stuff. But you essentially just added things on them, and they were able to be moonwalk suits. But if you wanted to have them for launch and entry, you can just remove all of that and strap yourself. Like, it was the same connections. What are we gonna do, right? Like, this is the same problem, not just for Starliner and Dragon, but also in the future. And this is just for HLS Starship, because then there's HLS Blue Moon, right? Like, there's gonna be 2 landers as well with an Orion. With, like, there are so many things, and there's probably gonna even be a 3rd suit just for spacewalks out of Gateway or some stuff like that, right? It's one of those things where do you draw the line for that universal connections, right? Where
Right.
it's like,
Yeah.
one
Interesting
suit does
conversation,
one
dude.
thing on one spacecraft, but maybe there's a contingency where you cannot use it, and then you have to use the other one. And like, but it's like, where do you draw the line there? Where you can say, okay, enough is enough, right? Like, sometimes the decision, for example, from SpaceX is like, instead of a bunch of different things here on the chest and things like that, you just have it on the thigh, a one single connection for everything, right? It's like,
Yeah.
that's their decision. Maybe other company will have decided something. Maybe instead of the thigh, will have been in the back. Like, who knows, right? Same thing.
Dude,
That's
yeah.
that's what I'm trying to say here.
Right.
Here's the thing,
And
also,
go
I'm
ahead,
just
Sawyer.
gonna throw it out there. What if there was an issue with the life support system connection on a Crew Dragon, let's say, and then you go to
Right.
Starliner, and if they were universal, then you have the same issue. So that's the dissimilar architecture. I get why they're different because life support is obviously
Mhm.
highest priority, but if you have an issue with one, you want to make sure you don't have an issue with the other.
Yeah. Guys, and this is kind of what I was getting at with what I'm saying. Like, wait, they're not. You don't have a standardized fitting, and like, I mean, I'm not saying like I see people in chat saying like I said, you could have other seats, right? You could make an adapter. That's introducing more risk, right? Because Dragon has never been flown with that many people, right? Or it's space flight. Anybody, if there's anybody out there that's worked in this industry, you'll go to make the adapter. You'll figure out everything. It'll work perfectly, but it's going to be done quick, right? Because you got to get it. It's time sensitive, right? It's got to be done quick. You're going to send it up. You're going to test everything. You send it up there. It's not going to work. Dude, that's just how this goes. It happens, right? Like the adapter, Murphy's law. It always happens in spaceflight every time. Like I'm sorry if I was getting too real there. My bad.
I've got to be honest. I'm with chat. I'm too busy laughing at the clown car thing.
hey, now you can't get that image out of your head. Bunch of clowns popping out of a capsule after it lands.
Yeah, it'd be amazing.
I mean, it's true. I like my analogies to hit deep.
I see someone put a lot of questions in our queue, so I don't know who did that, but whoever
That may
did
have been
With
me.
those laser beams, Kevin.
Do you want to tackle one, Kevin? Like, what was one of those? Like, I don't know. Did it caught your attention or something? There's a lot of here.
I'm looking. Hold on. There was one. There was one about STS 400, right?
Yeah.
You want to talk shuttles? Let's do it.
Show saying, why don't
Do
we
it.
have a contingent like STS 400 for STS 125 for Starliner and Dragon, essentially having
We do
a replacement already ready to.
I'll tell you what, I'll take it first because STS 400 and STS 125 were unique. It was the only shuttle mission after Columbia not to go to the ISS. So they had no safe haven, as they call it. Every other shuttle mission apart from 125 had what was launch on need requirements, where the next orbiter to launch had the ability to push up slightly in the schedule, but even on the schedule would go to the ISS and pick up the crew. The risk was whatever went wrong with the first shuttle. They didn't want to have commonality and have an issue again with the second shuttle going up. So there was clearances involved, but that's what the manifest showed. It was called the FAWG, the Flight Assignment Working Group Manifest. And on each manifest, it showed the regular missions and then a blue shuttle next to it, which was the launch on need, which was the next shuttle to launch. Technically, if you think about it, with Starliner and Dragon, you have that. Because in this case, say if Starliner was completely crippled and the crew was on the ISS and there was definitely no way they're going to come back on Starliner, they would be then allocated towards the next Dragon. They would have done this plan anyway, which is what they're proposing to do as a contingency. So technically that launch on need exists. All these crew missions are going to the ISS. So that's where your safe haven's already done. So I don't know what Sawyer wants to add to that, but that's what I feel is already implemented.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that the ISS is there, that is your rescue ship in a way. It's the fact that you have somewhere that you can go, you've got the supplies, you've got the food, you've got, resupply vehicles that can send you up more underwear. But that's why I don't think there's a need for a contingency. And again, even so, you know, you see how often they're launching crew missions once every 6 months. So they spend an extra 6 months till the next one goes up. That's fine because you have so many cargo resupply vehicles that keep launching.
Yeah. I also saw another question talking about whether this affects Polaris Dawn. And one of the things that we've seen recently is that actually doesn't seem to be affecting it because Polaris Dawn is still on track for a launch on the 26th. I believe the launch will be at 3:38 a.m. Eastern. Not the best time of the day, I should say that though. But it's still on track for that. Essentially,
oh boy, 3 a.m.
It will be 9 days, 8 hours, 42 minutes from now. If I have my countdown. I'm counting. My watch is counting down. I don't know. Oh,
Do
hang
we
on.
know why they scheduled that launch in the middle of the night when no one's going to be awake to watch it?
Probably due
Orbital
to the
mechanics, my boy.
Orbital
to
mechanics.
the orbit. Someone back in our back channels who were talking precisely about that, and one of the problems is if it's just going to be one single burn of the MVAC engine to get into that highly elliptical orbit, then that means the apogee will be on one single side of the Earth. If you can imagine, it's launching out of Florida, right? So if you can imagine going up north, because it's probably going to take the same sort of route to have the same abort conditions and abort scenarios as an ISS launch. When you go into that orbit, then you're going to have the perigee will be essentially at the same sort of location, and then you're going to have the apogee on the other side of the Earth. So what you're probably going to have if you're planning a spacewalk, you're planning a lot of things, you need to launch in the right moment so that in your planning and your orbital stuff that you want to do in orbit, everything lines up with the conditions that you want. In this case, I'm mostly sure that that's probably the main thing in play here. That wherever that apogee is going to be going to, they probably wanted maybe in some sunlight so that they can see the Earth back. I don't know. We'll see.
Yep. I mean, yeah. Basically, the Earth moves underneath the orbits, guys. If you don't launch when you cross the track, you're gonna need a rocket. Like even if you're out of the window, like you guys have heard launch window get thrown around. Even if you're out of the window by like 15 minutes, depending on where you're going, like these ISS windows, for instance, are instantaneous. Like if you wait like 5 extra minutes there, you're gonna need probably like double the size of the rocket to get to the ISS. Yeah, no, that's not an exaggeration. About out of plane phasing burns or orbital mechanics. Yeah, no, those are expensive. Or if you've ever played Kerbal, the triangles you burn on the triangles, it wastes a lot of fuel.
Yeah, it's definitely
The more you know.
for sure that they don't need to target the ISS, so it's not a instantaneous launch window. I think Jared Essigman, he said it was actually like a 3-hour, 4-hour window. But there's essentially an aspect there, as I was saying, that they have a lot of things planned on this mission that are more just than the launch. And so the launch being at a horrible hour of the day, I wouldn't worry about that because at the end of the day, the thing that is important about this mission is that spacewalk. That's gonna be, it's gonna be the big one.
Yeah, man.
Anyways, I have a bunch of support here. Also questions.
Hey, real quick, Alex.
Yes.
Real quick. I think the Burgonator is tired.
Yeah, it's way past my bedtime.
Yeah, it is
Way
late
past-
over there.
No, I have to get off.
Yeah.
I've got things to do.
Midnight.
But it's been fun. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on, Mr.
Bye.
Horse.
I'll hold down the shuttle for it.
Yeah, I thought you'd hold on a shuttle for, and I think the Starbase is completely fine with Alex on, so we're sorted.
What am I, chopped liver over here?
You're our expert host. You were saying at the start of the show that you didn't think you were a good host. You are a good host, DJ. We're happy to have you.
Thanks for having me. All right. Good night, man.
Bye.
Okay, I'm gonna run
All right, Alex.
through the support.
Preguntas.
Yeah, because there are some questions as well here. Bloodhound 09, they say, are you concerned about the air surfaces? This is a $10 super chat, by the way. About the air surfaces on New Glenn. It seems like they could be overloaded by the aerodynamic forces during re-entry and get torqued and cause a spin on the booster.
Say that one more time. Sorry, I
you
lost
want
it
to
halfway.
tackle that one? It's talking about the air surfaces on New Glenn. Seems like they could be overloaded by the aerodynamic forces during re-entry and get torqued and cause a spin on the booster. It's essentially down here on the ticker.
It's hard to say. That's a super good question, right? Like, because New Glenn has fins, right, as opposed to grid fin, right? So, all right, why would you have grid fins versus regular fins? Well, grid fins are specifically designed for control in the hypersonic regime, hypersonic and supersonic regime. Basically, when the air going through the fin is going faster than the speed of sound. The reason why it looks like a waffle iron is because it's designed to break up the air. and it breaks up the air, and the air gets funneled through the little passageways in the grid fin, so you can actually steer. You don't necessarily get that with an aero control surface. However, Blue seems to have a lot of what's called with regular air control surfaces, like on a plane, they have a lot of deflection. But that doesn't mean you couldn't make fine adjustments with these fins and get them to steer pretty well. Like, you know, you don't need to move a whole surface like that, like as much as the grid fins. We see the grid fins moving back and forth like this all day, right? You know, New Glenn wouldn't need to do, like, because it's kind of a standard, I would say aerofoil, but it's not really aerofoil, but you get the idea. You wouldn't need to move it very much, right? Moving it even just a little bit is going to put an insane moment on wherever you're trying to go, like pitch. You know, you could do pitch, you could do yaw with those. You could do pitch, yaw, and roll with those things.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's. I don't know if obviously, like, Blue is there's some aerodynamic analysis behind this. Like, I think a good rule of thumb would be to say, like, look, man, if they're putting fins on it, I don't think they're worried about the aero load. But then again, you never know. They are trying to land on their first try. So, I mean, we don't know that for sure. I mean, that's very much what I think. But, you know, the landing platform vessel coming to the port, you know, lining up with the payloads going there at the same time. That's all I'm saying. Pretty sure they're going to land it. Well, at least try.
We'll definitely see how that goes. And I'm really excited to at least see them attempt that. Who doesn't like some reusable rockets, right? It's like, come on. So I'm really looking forward to that. We'll see, though. I will say the joke that I'm 50-50 on this, because of course it either lands or it doesn't land, but I'm not gonna do that. I will say, though, that it's really complicated for your first big orbital class booster to be able to land on the first try. I have my doubts, as well as, you know, I'm saying that we're going to be talking about Starship. I'm also having my doubts that Booster 12 will land on the top 6 on the first try. I will talk about that in just a few minutes. I'm going to round down through a few more of the support questions.
Dude,
and other
chat savagery. Well. It might do it without a software update, at least. Josh, you savage individual. That's pretty funny.
Musical Wolves with a $5 super chat saying, could a heat shield be launched for the Starliner service module so it could survive re-entry and inspect it? I mean, that's not really that easy to do. You will need a huge adapter and things like that. But, you know, it's something that will be interesting to be able to do in the future. Not with a Starliner, but maybe in the future actually have spacecraft that have an integrated propulsion system, like Dragon. Anyways, why do rockets? This is like from Telstar with a £2 super chat. Why do rockets use hypergolic propellants? I mean, there are some benefits to that with the storable side of things and things like that, but they also have lower ISP, lower specific impulse, and things like that.
It's the storability, Alex.
That's a really great question for maybe a long video of ours, one of those 30-minute videos that I usually write. But it will
I can give a 30-second one if you guys want. You can time it.
30
Kevin,
seconds.
Bring that timer up.
Kevin?
All right.
Do we have the timer for him?
All right, give me the timer, and Kevin, you tell me when to go if you get it.
There you go. It's already counting.
Cool. So hypergolic systems on rockets are used on on-orbit spacecraft because they can store. They're not cryogenic. They don't boil off. Also, because hypergolic propellants, when they hit each other, they explode, right? You don't need a sophisticated piece of turbine machinery or anything. They can back pressurize it with helium, which is what they do, which is why Starliners have helium problems, and get a very simplified rocket design. So it's storable and it's very simple. Boom! Nailed it. Nailed it.
Time is up. There you go.
Wow.
Okay.
Dropping the mic.
Booster 1058, also with a $2 super chat, saying pun token for Sawyer, use it wisely, get better soon.
Oh, thank you. And you know I won't use it wisely.
Then we have more Red Team memberships here from get ready, Kevin. From Ninja Decimator.
Ninja Decimator.
There you go. With 5 Red Team memberships as well. That's another 5 people that will have access to Red Team and above. And then Appstate 83 became a Padred member,
hey.
so thank you for that as well. So that's
My Twitch chat is
6 more
speaking in
people
here.
are
Hi,
members.
Upstate.
I did the pew 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 for the first time, I guess. And then Rob Bars, the £5 super chat saying the contingency situations. What will the minimum window between releasing the uncrewed Starliner and getting Crew 9 docked? That's a good question, and we actually had sort of a hint, maybe from Eric this week, where he said if they came back on Starliner, they will be undocking on September 2nd. But if they not come back on Starliner, then the undocking will be on the 6th. So if you can imagine, Crew 9 will be launching on September 24th. Give it maybe another day or so to get there, 25th. So from the 6th to the 25th, that's 19 days. Am I doing the math correctly? I don't know.
Dude,
But,
it's Friday night. I don't know.
Yeah, it's Friday night.
Come on.
It's already late here. But essentially, there will be about half a month there to do all of that. So it will not be that. I'm just seeing the next thing as well here, but yeah, it will not be that much of a time. It will not be like 2 months, 3 months, or anything like it. Just a couple.
It's going to be as short as overlap as they possibly can do, guys. You
Yeah.
don't, because once again, that whole unsuited ED entry, descent, and landing. Yeah, NASA's pretty much going to try at all costs to avoid that. That'd be a little bit of a funny. Quote Mike Seraphin. A little bit of a funny. We don't want funnies.
You know,
We don't
they
want
have
no
that
funnies.
constraint as well because there's a Soyuz handover. There's gonna be the launch. I think it's from MS-26. I think it is the number. I'm already lost with all of the MS Soyuzes that have been launched, but there's another Soyuz coming up, and then there's another Soyuz coming down. So in that time, there's also another handover as well, which will be interesting because if Sonny and Butch stay there, then that means there's gonna be 9 plus 3. That's 12 people on the ISS. That's interesting. But anyways, yeah, I just saw Ninja Decimator. I think this is Kevin. He just wants to do the pew pew. There you go. Pew pew pew. There you go. Anyway, shall we go to the big shiny rocket? I believe we already went through. Oh well. Yeah.
Alex, excuse me. When hop?
Yeah, I saw the other question as well,
Slap.
Kevin. Kevin is
When
putting these
slap?
questions himself. How do you feel now that Ship 26 had its guts pulled, Raptors? Do you still feel love?
Bro, teed up his own question just to do that.
This is Chris B on the keyboards. Actually, this is why he needed to go out.
I'm playing the world's tiniest violin.
Yeah, show the clip. I'm seeing you already getting prepared. There you go. So that is one of the stories this week. I don't even know if I can be heard over the music though. I can probably do the whole thing over the music. Oh, there we go. So Ship 26 went out to the Mega Bay 2 and got its engines pulled. We thought it was going to be because it was going to be scrapped in the Mega Bay 2. But, you know, Kevin, now that it doesn't have Raptors, at least it's still in one piece, which is surprising. You can see, I believe that is when it came back from Mega Bay 2 and went to the Rocket Garden. So that is quite an interesting movement, if you think about it. I don't know, but we all expected it to be scrapped, and now it's not being scrapped. Kevin, how do you actually feel? If you can talk. I timed that with the end of the music. I'm so amazing.
See, you're good, and he's not even here. Kevin!
You timed it perfectly.
There you go.
I still, as the president and CEO and first member of the Ship 26 fan club, I say we're good. We're good. Ship 26 is still gonna fly one day.
Oh,
It still lives on, right?
Even if it has to be yeeted off the top of a booster with no engines, I don't know. I really have nothing.
You know what? I would watch that. I'd be yeah. I don't know what that would test, but I'm here for it.
It would test something.
Yeah, no, it would test something, right? Do it. I'm here for it. You know, you want to test the super heavy catch, you know, just send that. And good boilerplate, you know. Come back, bring the booster back down, send that thing right to the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah. That's more clips
What?
of them removing the Raptors out of Ship 26.
It's
It was
beautiful.
nice that at least we were able to see these Raptors. By the way, they are so old. I believe they were installed on March of last year. Like, this is not like this is really, really old.
I gotta
Yeah,
say, it is nice to see it being taken apart, though.
right? Like it's kind of soothing even to see
Yes.
them taking apart pieces of Ship 26 and getting rid of it for once. I'm really
I thought we
waiting.
were friends, Sawyer.
I'm really waiting
mean,
for the day that they cut it up. But yeah, so that was one of the things this week. I don't know if maybe I will be able to stall enough to stretch a little bit here. And speaking of stretching, you know what else stretched this week? The tower at Starbase. The second tower at Starbase got another module installed. That was module 7. Apart from EJ as well. He's also
I'm stretching right now, dudes.
We got that
Huh?
massive crane was finally repaired. They had to
Yeah.
they had an oopsie, put it that way.
They had a little bit of a funny.
An oopsie
A little funny
last
there.
week. They were able to get it ready over the weekend back again, being able to finally lift it up. That's the one of the latest dailies that we had on our channel, going over all the footage of them removing the part that was damaged, putting good parts in. I don't understand about cranes, so I don't expect me to.
Oh, you want me to explain?
This. I mean, if you want to,
Dude.
sure, go
Oh,
ahead.
Go
My
for
time
it.
to shine. No. So what you guys are seeing there are stabilizer bars. Those stabilizer bars they're basically used as a damper between the different moving parts on the crane. Now the particular stabilizer bars that broke, those are the ones that connect the boom of the crane, that really kind of wide part of the crane with the jib, which is those two kind of like rabbit ears things that are at the top of the crane. The crane rigging borrows terminology from sailing. So people, I just said jib, and anybody that knows anything about a sailboat just went, wait, what? Yeah, those stabilizers connect the boom to the jib, one of two on the top there. The interesting thing about that, Alex, is they broke two of them. Like you could see that footage that was just shown. It is very broken. The joint at the end is very not. It's joint int right now. But crazy thing is that they took two stabilizers off, replaced it with one, which is very, very interesting. The thing's got one stabilizer from boom to jib. Now, there are other points on the crane where there are stabilizers, but those are the ones that snap. There's ones that go from the house to the boom. There's ones that go from the mast to the boom, and there's ones that go from the house to the mast. Those are all the different things that are on the sides of the crane, or the back of the crane, by the counterweights. There's a lot of stabilizers down there, but yeah, they only replaced it with one, interestingly enough.
Yeah, and they did that work over the weekend. I believe it was already going up on Monday when we released the latest Starbase update. Around the Starbase update, oh, they're gonna take a few more days to get it ready and to lift module 7, and then they rolled out module 7 overnight, and then they also lifted module 7. I think it was on Tuesday or maybe Wednesday, but it was recently, essentially just a few days after we released that Starbase update. That is the lift of module 7. A bunch of people have asked, why is it that it is a different length? And it is true that all of the previous modules, they were like 3 levels kind of thing, if you will, right? 3 of these trusses and everything. This is only 2. That is because, as you can see there, it is very high up, and you need to put the whole thing up top. On the previous towers, actually plural, for tower at 39A and the first tower at Starbase, modules from 1 to 7, they were all those 3 levels. So 7 was just 3 levels back then for those, but they also had problems lifting those segments all the way up. And then module 8, which is the other one that you see there on the right, which has already arrived to the launch pad and might actually be stacked soon as well. That one was just one single level. So you had, if you add levels, you had 4 in total, right? Now instead of being 3 and 1, now you have 2 and 2. And that way it is simpler for the crane operators and for the whole folks that are trying to put this together to be able to put that, especially now that these tower segments or modules, whatever you want to call them, have a bunch more hardware on them.
Yeah, exactly.
Or the tower at 39A, for example, the crane that they use especially was a different crane, which was not perhaps as as capable of this one. I believe this is a little bit more capable to the height that it needs to go. That last module 9, which we'll go to that in a second as well. That roof portion at the 39A was outfitted with all of the pulleys and everything, and then they had to take it away before actually stacking it. They loaded it with mass, and when they went to lift it, they realized, well, we cannot do that without removing some of that mass. There you can see that launch tower at 39A, hopefully becoming a little bit more active soon. But yeah, that was one problem that they had there at 39A, and definitely one problem that we'll not have, because now they are outfitting module 9. I know, Kevin, you don't have any assets about that, but I can riff-raff about this, because we have a road closure for Monday night. I think it is from midnight to 3 a.m. for the last module 9, to be rolled out to the pad. And I'm really excited about that, because that means perhaps around the 20th or the 21st, we're going to have a complete structure for that second tower. I cannot wait for that. So essentially a few days afterwards, we shall see that lift. There you can see. Yeah, it will be the last one on August 19th. That will be the one for the rollout of the 9th. Because the one that is August 17th, I believe that's the one that they used for module 8. Module 8 is going to be stacked soon. I believe they have already installed the what's it called? I cannot come up now with a name. The load spreader. There you go. Now it came up. They installed the load spreader, and so they're gonna be probably lifting that up relatively soon. And then after that, the roof. The roof is gonna be the last module, and when that happens, we're gonna get that tower complete. I mean, at least the structure. There's a bunch of other things.
The roof. Oh wait, I can't say that. Anyway,
roof.
I mean, it's probably better that they get that tower done sooner rather than later, Alex, right? Because there's that whole Flight 5 risk your operational launch pad by trying to land a 300-ton booster on it. Yeah, probably good to get that done sooner rather than later, because you might be running a little bit of a risk here, don't you think? Which actually brings us to today's testing that we saw. Okay, cool.
I believe Kevin wants to talk about the header tank. Yeah, because I see it also on the assets as well.
Oh, okay. All right, we're doing header tank next. We can do
prepared.
that. Yeah. Sweet. Yeah, dude.
That is a really weird piece of hardware. If you can show it.
It's a decanter for your wine.
Obviously. I love that transition. But yeah, that is a really weird piece of hardware, and a lot of people were asking, "What's that? What's that?" Right? And I mean, it's very concerning when you see that pulling up to Starbase, because it kind of looks like, I don't know, something out of Doctor Who or something. And it looks like it.
Looks more like the Wizard of Oz.
Like I said, it's the Tin Man.
But yeah, that is a methane header tank for a ship. And now, if you have watched the Elon tour from Tim, which you should, we totally recommend that. This was actually something that they showed on that tour. Essentially, it's like that piece is currently on that picture upside down, so you have to rotate it 180 degrees to be able to see it better. but it essentially hangs from the nose cone, and so you have that methane header tank, and then on top on that cone, that goes there goes the dome for the liquid oxygen header tank. The liquid oxygen header tank uses the tip of the nose cone, and then they put like some sort of dome to be able to make the bottom of the tank, and that's how you get sort of the tank is that sort of kind of, I guess, the if you were to cut it, the cross section will be like a pizza kind of thing looking, right, like a slice of pizza.
So wait a second. It doesn't look like a hat when it's installed.
No, because it will be upside down. So it's that way. That
I'm so
tip that you see
disappointed.
there, yeah, that tip that you see there will be down. That is actually the start of that transfer tube. So that transfer tube runs. So if this is the ship, okay, this is the heat shield side. This is the leeward side. It goes from the tip and it runs through the belly, essentially like down that wall into the methane tank in the middle. And they do
It's
that
crooked to
because
go
when
around
the ship
the payload bay, right? Because it's going around the payload bay, yeah?
it goes on through the back, and the whole reason it
Yeah.
goes through the back, it's not because of the payload bay. It's actually much
Yeah?
simpler. If you can show
Oh,
me
alright.
again full screen, or at least
Drop
larger,
some knowledge, homie.
when the ship is in belly flop, where does the propellant go? To the belly.
Yeah.
So it drains through the pipe. And so when they have to relight, and they are in this orientation when they relight, so they need to have the propellant on the bottom. This was a thing even on the SN era, when they didn't have a payload bay or something. They still
Mhm.
they didn't have a methane header tank on the tip of the nose cone, but they did have the Lux header, and it also had that downcomer or transfer tube through, at least next to the belly of the ship. So yeah.
Cool. So
No, it's not any contraption or anything,
So-
Kevin.
two things. So Sawyer, I despise you now because I can't unsee the Tin Man. Thank
You're
you for
welcome.
that one. And second of all, this is going to kill me. Fuel is stored in the balls. That's what you're telling me, Alex?
I mean, they are more like pear-shaped, I guess.
Fuel is stored in the pears?
I mean, you're making it worse. You're making it a lot worse.
No, I'm digging this hole on purpose, man. I'm telling
This is
you.
already, yeah.
At least not looking at radar domes for a Falcon 9.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
boy.
Yeah.
That is, yeah. Everybody that
No.
has seen any
Yep.
launches from Loop Road understands that. And yeah.
Sorry, I couldn't help it, guys. I'm sorry. I have
Ryan in the back channel saying this whole segment has gone pear-shaped.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Sorry, mate. Nothing I can do about
it.
I'm the host. Remember?
But yeah, it's a rare piece of hardware, but again, it the shape and everything all has a meaning, essentially.
Yeah, it's
and I guess
because
with my
they-
hands, I kind of explain that. Definitely need some
Well,
graphics.
the idea is that you don't want to happen what happened during one of the early Starship flights. I think it was what was it, 8 that ingested because they couldn't get the prop to go through the header correctly. It ingested some helium or something, right? That if I'm memory serving me correct,
that might have
fluid
been
management.
10.
Yeah, 10. There you go. Fluid management on these things, guys, is super important. I don't know how much you guys know this, but if the point where you pick up where the engine pulls the rocket propellant in the fuel tank, the pickup in the fuel tank, if it doesn't have fuel in it, the rocket doesn't get fuel and oxidize. It's not rocket science, or is it?
Sometimes instead of rocket science, it's more about getting it to make sense, to be able to catch all these concepts. Speaking of catching,
Yeah, baby.
we also had testing of those chopsticks with the B14.1 test article. It's about to be removed, but before all of that, of course, we've seen this. There you go. I timed that perfectly.
Hey,
Do
it's
we have
Elon
any
with
audio?
the
I
slap,
believe
slap,
no,
slap,
right?
slap, chop, chop, chop,
Yeah,
chop, chop. Let's
Sure.
start.
we need.
Boing,
I already. You need someone clip that just for the intro. But yeah, I already said that we need for the I'm gonna leak this for the fifth flight of Starship. You know that every time that we do a flight live stream, we tend to do some kind of video or series of videos or something like that. We really need to do a montage of this with funny music. We really need to do that. But yeah, they did all of these tests again. They did the test with a chopstick on the right here. From this perspective, it will be the left arm relative to the tower, the north arm if you prefer directions. But yeah, we saw that a couple of months ago, and then they have been upgrading the other chopstick essentially to be able to make it up to the same specs, to make it be very similar to that as well. They also installed pads on that are newer and better. They're actually made of metal, even though they still have the cushions inside. But this time around, they can be a little bit more reusable, so to speak. There you go.
boing. Dink.
Is this like discount Benny Hill or something?
Wah, 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 wah.
Is this
Boom.
copyright?
Yeah,
For
yeah.
the
No, we are
copyright
not
strike.
getting sued.
But yeah, we
like
also
it.
were warned of not using clap test.
Yeah.
I think a lot of British people know about that better than me. I'm not British.
Honestly, it's
as
an
you can
American
imagine.
term as well.
It's also American. Okay.
Oh, Ryan,
I-
Ryan is typing in the back channel. I see it. Ryan is typing.
Well, you can see
Ryan?
that I'm not an Americano or Inglés.
Either way, while
So-
we're talking about things going pear-shaped and balls containing the fuel, let's just call it slap testing.
Catch testing.
There you
It's
go.
catch
Catch
testing.
testing works
Yeah.
It's catch testing.
That's the safest bet.
So the great news now is that it appears that, well, great news. There's two ways of interpreting what we're seeing right now. This is a live view, by the way. We probably need like some kind of live sticker somewhere. But yeah, so this test article is about to be removed from the OLM. We can see there, obviously, that it's already hooked to the load spreader. So at one point, it's going to be removed. There could be two things here. Either it went so horrible that they really need to bring it back and do repairs or something like that, right? Or some changes to it to be able to keep testing with it, or it went well and they don't need it anymore. And the thing is, if they don't need it anymore, the launch is maybe 3 weeks away. What are they going to be doing for the rest of that time? And last week, I actually brought this up as a potential theory on the Starbase update that we released this Monday. What SpaceX tweeted last week was that Flight 5 vehicles were ready. They were going to be doing more catch testing on Launchpad, but also testing the Flight 6 vehicles. But if you have kept track of what Flight 6 vehicles have been doing, Ship 31 is currently in a major overhaul of its heat shield. It's certainly not in a position to be moved and be tested. So what else can be tested from Flight 6? The booster. And where do you have to test the booster? At the launch pad. So once booster 14, that test article 14.1 gets out of the way, they could, in theory, roll out booster 13. I'm not saying that's going to happen, of course, right? But if a SpaceX is saying, we're going to test Flight 6 vehicles, and then you see 31, it's covered in scaffolding and with the heat shield being removed. You're like, maybe it's the booster. What about the booster? It got engines. Maybe it's ready to go. The OLM is going to be free. That could be a possibility that they may test booster 13. If not next week, maybe the following week, at least in the lead up to that launch. There's plenty of time for them to be able to test that. We'll also probably be seeing perhaps some full stacks coming back soon as well. I'm not saying that's certainly going to happen, but that's usually what happens. And I will at least expect that.
I mean, didn't Elon say that they expect that while they're waiting for FAA approval, and I'm sure there's more testing that they still have to do, that they're going to also be starting to test the next fleet of coming up. So they're not only preparing for this flight, but for next flight, right?
Yeah. And that is precisely what they always do, right? That you know, you just don't prepare for your very next flight. You keep going with the rest of your fleet. And I mean, we talked about that with Vulcan, right? Earlier in the show, where we talk about, preparing for the second flight, the third, the fourth, and whatnot. They're gonna be doing the same thing. Everybody in this industry does that, where they prepare not just for the following launch, but also for many launches down the line. And I guess this is the best view to bring down that point where it's like they're readying a second launch pad, right? If that's not readying things for flights later on the line, I don't know what is. Uh, and I believe EJ, there's a Merlin firing behind you as well. I'm just seeing on your preview.
Am I on fire?
Yeah, because you have McGregor behind you, and there's a Merlin.
Oh, there! Wow, he's really
Yeah.
steaming mad.
Look at that.
So mad steam's coming out of his ears.
You wouldn't like me when I'm angry or something.
I believe that's a regular Merlin, but I'm not
just Maryland's not wrapped.
too experienced with. Yeah, I knew it was a Merlin because it was a grayish color to the exhaust, and I know that's from the suit of the engine.
Tell me to go back to Twitch? Serious right now?
Oh, who would say that?
Yeah, no, who would say that? What are you kidding me?
Ooh, we have audio.
I'm not going to take this. Ooh, we do have. I'm going to be.
But yeah, this test looks to be of just a Merlin, a regular Merlin. I believe it is from one of the. Looking at the test stand, and yeah, that is the one for Merlins instead of the MVAC.
Well, like you said, the huge sooty cloud of unburnt hydrocarbons kind of get that away.
The question is, what is that engine firing into?
Into the flame trench.
There you go. She said the thing.
I said the name of the show. It's like when in certain shows they say the name of the show and you're like, oh, they said it. They said the thing. Yeah. More Merlins. That's all gonna fly soon. In some. Oh, that was the shutdown.
How long?
I mean, it's not like they have a whole Falcon 9 first stage sitting around there testing either. So.
Yeah, they do as well. Whenever that fires up, it's gonna have a lot more suit on it, so you really are gonna see a really big black cloud of smoke. A lot of people always ask, "Why is it so black and everything?" And it's like, well, that's the suit on the Merlins. All that.
I can give another 30-second
hydrocarbons.
explanation if we want to do that. I can give another 30-second explanation. I can do it, man. I can do it. Kevin, you got that timer ready?
Do it.
As long as you start the timer.
Wait, we got to set the timer, man.
EJ. Move to EJ.
No.
That's not me.
Alex, you're stealing my thunder here, man.
Yeah. Well, start talking. I don't know. There you go.
Oh God, I got 20 seconds. All right. The reason why they have a lot of unburnt hydrocarbons coming out is because of it's because of the gas generator. The gas generator runs extremely fuel rich to keep it cool because more fuel can absorb the heat from the combustion to turn the gas generator. The Merlin vacuum is also film cooled, so that's why you get a huge sooty cloud out the side. What I'm trying to tell you is that Falcon 9 rolls coal, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Rolls coal. Did it again. 2 for 2.
Ooh, I like the sound effects of the timer up.
Oh, that's awesome. I did that with 28 seconds. 23 seconds. You shorted me. Feel pretty good right now. I'm not going to lie to you.
Let's see. Someone asking, have you asked real nicely to get some cameras on top of Tower B? Will be best view. You know, sometimes even if you ask very nicely, you don't really get anything. I can tell you that
I mean,
from
sometimes it
experience.
happens because I don't know. There's a question I have to. Is anyone in this discussion here that has been on top of a launch pad tower, say maybe out at the
Ah,
Canaveral Space Force Station?
Huh?
you want Kevin to flex, right?
So I may have
You may or may
my
not
first
have.
launch. My first launch ever was also watching a crew launch from the press site.
Yes, and you have stood atop one of the launch pads.
That astronaut stood on.
Yep.
Yes, yes.
I was trying to give you a Kevin flex there.
Maybe you jinxed Starliner.
Maybe I did. Maybe I did because that was the launch pad. I was there. I went up the same elevator, and maybe I did jinx it because I also could not go down the elevator because the elevator didn't work on the way down. We walked down. No, they were doing maintenance on it, but
Kevin broke
we
it.
had to walk down.
Kevin, hold on a second. They weren't doing maintenance. They were screwing with you.
Probably.
I can confirm this. I had the pleasure of going to the top of SLS's mobile launcher a long time ago, and they said the same thing. They said it's maintenance. I'm like, we're the only ones up here. That's maintenance. You got to walk down. They
These
make you
Americans
walk
are
down.
flexing on me now. I cannot even
Sorry,
go
man.
to the gate. It's like
Hey, you got. There's the Spanish.
I got to the
company that
gate,
launched the rocket.
and that's all I did. Cannot even do that. But
No, like they
I
said the
stood
same
on
thing.
top of the flame trench too.
He also
Just
said
to
the thing.
Bring
Stood
it
in.
back around.
I've stood in 39B's flame trench. Yeah, Sawyer,
You stood
can
in
flex?
it.
For me, it was 37.
Oh, that's good too. Wait,
I've
you
only
stood in
been
37's
two
flame trench? How?
trenches on this one, and then another rocket that we have here from Spain that I went to visit, and that is all I did.
Okay, you're right. I
that rocket
didn't
was pretty
stand
cool.
in the flame trench. I sat in the flame trench, okay?
That's not what I meant.
Oh, that I'm seeing the
That's not what I
comment.
meant. Now I feel bad, man. Dang.
I'm seeing his comment. I know what he's gonna say. Do we want to say that?
Oh no, I'm not saying that.
Oh, he's right. He's right. He's right.
So getting awarded, and no one will ever know why.
Anywho, should we go to the next thing? What is the next thing on your topics? Oh, you have next spaceflight open. Why do you have that? We should go perhaps to.
There's nothing else in the assets list, Alex.
Yeah, that is true, but there are more things to talk about.
Okay, so you know what we should do? We should do this. There you go.
Okay. So there's Ship 30, of course, that it needs to be ready for launch. But there's a bunch of work to be done still on it. And then on other news, the FAA has delayed the public hearings about the the tiered EA assessment. And then we also had the story from CNBC of the high mercury concentrations and everything, which turned out to be a typo. So those are the other three things that we needed to talk about, or that at least are here on the document. I am more partial to talk about Ship 30. SpaceX said that Flight 5 vehicles are ready to go. I'm gonna say, with all of the lifts that we're seeing in the last few days and weeks, still needs a little bit of work. But there was an exciting piece of work that they did this week, artwork, you should say, I guess, which was the decals, livery. Anyways, yeah, they put the number on it. Ship 30. Now it's on the sides of that vehicle, unlike 29. 29 got sort of like clean up where they put those, but they were not installed in the end, and I don't even know why they did not install, but I guess they forgot or something, or they did not give it much of importance. But Ship 30 does have now the livery, whatever you pronounce it.
Livery.
I know. What?
Delivery. It's the thing with the numbers.
So somehow I got kicked or something out of it. But anyways,
Are you alive? Okay.
yeah, I'm here. I'm here. But it's one of those things that you guys always fight about. I know the correct pronunciation. I just have fun with that. But yeah, Ship 30. It already has all of those stickers and everything, and so yeah, at least it is a little bit more ready to go. I've seen more work on the heat shield side of things. I've seen lifts going up to the flaps. They have been working on those as well, on the tiles. They have installed tiles inside of the hinges as well. I'm gonna be covering all that tonight when I'm starting to write Starbase update. I'm also writing this week's Starbase update. So on Monday you're gonna get a whole complete summary of all that.
So the real question is how much horsepower does the racing stickers add? You know, it's like a race car, right? All right, okay, all right. This is a rocket chat. How much delta V does it add? Okay, all right. Yeah, I know you'd look at it funny.
It's like LEDs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. You add at least 3 gigahertz by putting it RGB
At
on your
least.
computer. At least.
No, but you know, EJ, it just needs speed holes. It makes the rocket go faster.
Yeah. See, and some racing stripes.
Oh, definitely the racing stripes.
Yep. Yeah. My chat says 5 horsepower. Yeah, at least 5 horsepower. Yes. Okay.
We need Chris B here. He'd be able to tell us the actual horsepower.
He was busy playing keywords before.
It took me a second. That was pretty funny.
But yeah, you know, they are ready, you know, in quotes, as we were saying on the latest Starbase update and also on the latest Flame Trench, where it was like, yeah, there is still some work. It's just that, you know, they probably will be on a bit of more of a rush if they were not approved. If they were approved probably to go, they will probably do all of these, you know, fancy work a little bit faster. Let's put it that way. Other than that, I have a note here saying this time they are in the right orientation, because that is also true. On Ship 28, one was, you know, different from the other. This
Oh,
time
yeah.
they are in the right orientation to be read when it's like on a billy flop and everything.
You think they did that on purpose, or did somebody just put the sticker on and go, oh?
Probably
Oh.
the latter.
Yeah, I think it's the latter.
Oh. You know, like somebody came over like, hey, who are the chefs? You know what I'm talking about? It's like that commercial where the
Yes.
guy's panning the ends
Kansas
out.
City chefs.
Who are the chefs? You know, it's not backwards, right?
Uh,
Ah, crap.
Well, and yeah, the other two things as well. The FAA delaying the public hearings. So if you didn't know, there's this tiered EA environmental assessment to increase the launch cadence out of Starbase to 25 Starship launches per year.
Oh,
And the issue with that is that they had scheduled meetings with the public to get insights and comments, you know, feedback and everything. Unfortunately, those were delayed. The FAA has said that they need to ask more for more information to SpaceX to be able to get through all of those. So we'll see what happens. But some say that it might be connected to the CNBC story. I'm not fully sure, but if it is, I mean, at the end of the day, it might not be that big of a deal. It seems like it was all just down to a typo. People might
Oh,
still
the-
be concerned about
the
the whole
mercury.
water and everything.
oh,
I don't
jeez.
know. Like looking at the actual data that they released. I mean, sure, there's gonna be something in the water, but like,
So
I don't know.
context here, ladies and gentlemen. They so the TCEQ, which is basically Texas's control for environmental quality, right?
mhm.
That's who SpaceX is working with to make sure they're minimalizing the polluting, basically, right? They work with them, and then they work with the EPA as well. A little more informal with the EPA, right? But they do work with them, right? So TCEQ released an assessment about the deluge system on Starship's pad, and they in the thing they said it was like they said that the pad deluge like emits like 113 mcg of mercury, which you don't know what that means. That's death. Yeah, that
Milligrams.
Yeah, it was MCG, dude. It's milligrams per something. I forget, but I forget the exact unit of measurement. But yeah, that's death, right? So CNBC wrote an article based off of that, but it turns out it was a typo.
Yeah.
So that created a whole mess of fun. Elon found out about that on Twitter and did his thing, and yeah, no, that was yeah, some context. Yeah.
And one of the things as well from that whole deal is that on the one side you have that article in which bases some of the commentary, so to speak, on certain experts that are definitely not unbiased, so to speak. They are clearly biased against SpaceX, right?
Yeah.
It's not bad per se. Like there needs to be some accounting, of course. That is very important. That is one of the things that I try to bring down to the viewers when I wrote the environmental assessment video. Especially, we did a video about this document, and not the water thing, but the environmental assessment thing that we talked about just a couple of minutes ago. At the end, when you read that document, it is made by SpaceX. There's like a bunch of people from SpaceX are environmentalists and engineers, and people are working on this, trying to make sure that they do their thing while also not endangering a lot of the things in our ecosystems. And so I do think that there should be a way to keep everybody accountable, but also making an article out of that typo, boy, that is not the best, I should say. And there's obviously, the fact that there's a typo, you can complain about that. Like, why does SpaceX fill a documentation, or official documentation, that has that typo in the first place, right? That doesn't make sense. And that they let this happen. But again, that all comes down to just whatever you think about, is SpaceX sloppy, filling regulations and documentations and things like that. It's a very hot topic in any sense.
I mean, dude, I'm not gonna sit here. Like, I got bent out of shape when a bunch of people didn't give what was going on with Starliner a fair shot. And guess what, guys? I'm gonna get bent out of shape when people do that with SpaceX. That's not cool. I can't personally, like, this stuff drives me up the wall. It's like, I pride myself on trying to be as objective as I can, to the detriment of me, because the internet judges you no matter what.
Yeah, it's hard. I can
tough.
understand that.
But yeah, I mean, this works both ways. Absolutely. There is no way SpaceX isn't environmentally cognizant of what's going on here. Like, there's no way. Come on.
Yeah.
Like, there's just no way. You guys know. I mean, you guys know how it works in this. It's 2024. You know how it works. Right? The second anybody thinks for a second that you're doing anything remotely even ridiculous to the environment, someone's gonna be like, no. And even the EPA got an anonymous tip, or got a complaint from somebody, and the EPA went to SpaceX and said, what are you doing? This was back earlier. I think it was earlier this year, right? They went back earlier this year, and SpaceX is like, this is what they're doing. They're like, oh, okay, you might need to revise your permit a little bit, but you're good. You're still good to go. Like, the EPA is saying they're good. I'm pretty sure they're good. Like, I don't think there's environmental malice going on for real.
I feel like at least we will have seen more, like, I don't know, if it was that big of a deal, if it was that big of an issue, we will have seen something more than just this random,
Yeah, exactly.
piece,
Right?
on a media site, right? That is like, you will have seen a lot more. And one of the points that Taz is bringing up in the back channel is that CNBC wrote this, that they had been told, that apparently SpaceX had been told to stop the deluge, using the deluge system, but didn't provide whatever document. Then also SpaceX said that, well, we were told that, we can proceed, but also didn't provide any documentation of that. But they also said, well, what we had people from these folks, right, like the TCQ, coming to Starbase as well while we were designing and we were preparing the water deluge system, and then we were testing it. They were also there. So it's like you feel like at least if there was some big, like when the FAA says they need a mishap investigation or whatever, you get an email, you get like something, right? You get some kind of
Yep.
press release, some kind of documentation. Somewhere there's something being said, right? Where here it's like, well, we got this information, but we are not presenting the proof. And it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, dude. I think the general gist of this is that you know you got to look at it both ways. Like if I'm gonna give Boeing the benefit of the doubt, I'm gonna give SpaceX the benefit of the doubt. That's just my personal kind of analysis here. I mean, I think it's pretty straightforward stuff. But yeah, let's go. What else do we got here, dude?
I believe we are about to be done here. But there's support from our
Dude,
viewers.
support
like
and
you.
questions. Get it, Alex.
There's support and questions everywhere. Some of these hey. Okay. There's one of them precisely talking back about the comments out from Astro Knucklehead with a 10 Canadian dollars super chat. They say outside of SpaceX, Blue Origin, and Rocket Lab, with reusable focus, aren't everyone else just rearranging their deck chairs? EJ will get the Titanic reference. I've watched
I got it.
that movie,
Oh
but
yeah,
I
get it
didn't
too.
get.
that was good. So I got it too. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I watch it, by the way. It's a very famous movie. I mean, it will be weird if
Hey, guys.
somebody didn't watch it,
Spoiler alert:
Probably.
the boat sinks.
but probably there's somewhere out there.
The quick explanation is if you're doing something that's basically futile, like what's the point of you even doing it? It's like rearranging the chairs on the deck of the Titanic as it's sinking. It's useless.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert: the boat sinks.
Dang it, I
Welcome.
didn't watch the last 30 minutes. Come
Ah.
on.
Sorry, man. I had to do it.
Anyways, also Astro Knucklehead, they gifted 5 Red Team memberships, and also they had another 2 Canadian dollar super chat saying, "No comments, just wishing Sawyer all the best." So
Thank
that's
Hey.
very sweet.
I appreciate it. Honestly, it's nice to be on the air tonight and have company and have people to talk to and talk with and to get to talk about space stuff. I mean, it made my day. I'll say that. So thank you, everyone.
I'm really glad.
Man, you want me to shoot you a call tomorrow? I will.
Then
You think I'm kidding?
we
Oh, I
have
know you're
RC
not.
Horseman. I mean, if you're gonna do that, you can just do a live stream out of that as well. RC Horseman with another 5 Red Team memberships gifted as well. So thank you for that. Is that horses? More
Chris here?
horses?
Yeah, for RC Horseman.
Oh, duh, of course. RC Horseman. Yeah, there you go. The horse. And then we have another £2 super chat from Telstar86 saying, "We're all in a flame trench now thanks to NSO." It is true. We're now all in the flame trench. Hope you got spicy. I mean, today was not super spicy, but let's be fair. Sometimes when things are not spicy, that's sometimes good news, I guess.
Hey, you know,
good
we
things
tried
are
to make it
happening.
as spicy as possible, all right? When life gives you lemons, don't make lemonade. Get mad. I want your dang lemons. What am I supposed to do with these?
But I love lemonade.
Yeah, all right, that's fair.
Wow, I need to get close to my screen and everything. I cannot even see the names of the launch
Look at all those names,
directors
guys.
and flight engineers are supporting the
Wait.
channel.
Nobody said
Yeah.
Ship 26. Why is this music playing?
I don't know. He's probably sad that there's no
Sad
more
that
people
the
supporting
show
us. No,
is over.
It's a joke.
Just
Um,
seriously though, thank you to all the members, guys. We really appreciate it. Everybody here, we can't do this kind of stuff without you. Here, I'm going on the Jack Byers spiel right now. You know exactly what I'm doing, all right? I'm going to attempt it, okay? I'm the host. Oh, Alex, that away from me. No, it's yeah. Anyway,
Well, We're rotating now.
Yeah, no,
There we go.
Whoa, I don't like this. I don't feel comfortable. I don't like change. Anyway, so thank you everybody. Be sure to follow NASA Spaceflight at NASASpaceflight on X, on Facebook, NASASpaceflight.com, and on the gram, NASA Spaceflight _ Instagram. Do it. You won't. And wait, can I say hit the bell? Can I do that? I don't YouTube. Can I say hit the bell? Is that something we can do?
Hit the
You
bell.
Like, subscribe, and hit
Like,
the
subscribe,
bell. I
and
hate
hit the
doing
bell.
this.
Exactly.
This is awful. I don't like this
People
at
don't
all.
understand it, but you know the thing of hitting the bell. We sometimes publish videos or go live. People are like, I didn't know that you were live or that you published this video. I missed it. Well, that's the whole deal with a bell.
You can hit the bell.
Although
Let
to be fair,
let you
sometimes
know.
YouTube is a bit borked.
Yeah,
So
that's right.
I'm not gonna be putting all the
That's right.
blame onto you guys. Sometimes YouTube. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Anyway, Alex, hey, thanks for coming in and helping
that-
me with my awful
I have-
hosting duties.
That gift should have gone with the
Look at the ticker. Look at the ticker.
The
More
ticker.
support
No.
from Tommy. I have Alex talk tokens.
All right.
Can
What
I
do we do
get
with
rid of
those?
some of my pun tokens to revoke those?
I mean, you can. Anyway,
Thank you for the support, Tommy. By the way, yeah.
Alex,
Especially
thanks
for
for
my
coming on, dude. I think it's time to pack it up. Thanks for coming in, buddy. Thanks for the explanations. I don't know about you guys. I'm here for the long Alex explanations. You should be too. Just saying. Guy knows his
And
stuff.
this time around, I had to take a bit of the hosting, not entirely, just the questions and the support.
It's 'cause I
Like
suck
this
at it
one,
and don't know how to use that. I don't
because
know how to use it. It's so bad.
David Lane saying, "Wait, no, Jack. Yeah, Jack is sick. Everybody."
Hey, he's shaving his head right now, okay? Did you not watch the video where he advertised Henson shaving?
exactly the Henson shaving. He
Shaving his
actually
head right
shaves the
now.
head and also the neck. Because a lot of people were saying, "Why?" It's but
Right, he doesn't
anyways,
Yeah,
shave.
no neck-
Oh no, he does. It's his head.
He does.
Yeah.
And also
wait,
Chris.
yeah. Anyway, Alex, thanks for popping in. And Sawyer, man, I can't tell you how happy I am to hear your voice, dude, on one of these. It really, really, really makes me happy. And thank you for coming on. And yeah, hope to see you back with Jake in the future, man. Appreciate
Thanks.
it.
Yeah, he's laying in bed with me as we speak right now, so he's with me. And in case you're wondering, I saw people asking. Yes, that is the real Elmo. I met both Elmos technically, the first voice actor and then the second, both at KSC. So gotta end with a flex since it's the only flexing I'm doing right now.
And that's Ricky Arnold behind you, isn't it?
It sure is.
Yeah. Oh, all
But
right.
thank you
No.
again, everyone, for the kind words too in chat. I really appreciate it.
Cool, guys. Well, I am your terrible host, EJ_SA. You can follow me over on Twitch. It's EJ_SA. But I think we're done here, mate. No, we're not done. This is number 50. No, we're done here. You got a problem? Take out the delete tree. Kevin, roll us out. Roll us out of this thing. We got stuff to do.